Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the live. Up to the live. But we're going to talk about the live. Talk about it. Did Jesus of the Bible ever exist? That's the conversation that we're going to have today. We have about a couple hours that will be live today. I know y'all missed me yesterday. I know you did. I I had things going on Monday and Tuesday. Had a lot going on Monday and Tuesday, so I wasn't able to go live. But we're here today. My light on. I don't think my microphone is on. Hold on. There we go. There we go. We had no mic on YouTube. We had no mic. Only about 1 minute. So welcome one, welcome all, welcome to Deconstructing Christianity. I am Coach Renz, be your host today and every day that we go live. We go live usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from about 2 o'clock until 5 o'clock. Definitely in at 5. Yeah, I didn't have the mic plugged in at first. I had moved some stuff around. I was cleaning my desk. I had cleaned my desk and I must have unplugged it. So it's hot up in this joint today, so we're gonna get it popping. Got a lot of things going on. So live should be pretty regular still. But I gotta say there are a few things that I got going on over the next couple of weeks. So I might be in and out or late or something like that, depending on how early I can get most of these things done. But I'm gonna do my best to keep the schedule normal. But like I said, over the next few weeks, a lot of things going on. And then over the next few months, a lot of things going on. One of those things is definitely going to change the live, but it won't change it for we're months down the road from when the time frame of the lives change, and most likely we'll be doing lives in the morning. But so until we get a guest that wants to prove to us that Jesus is the real person, I will be into the comments. But let me thank everybody who's a member, everybody who supports the channel, everybody who do super chats. Why atheists believe the history books, but not that is real. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about, Patel. Patel comes on here all the time talking about Yahweh is real. Really never adds any substance. But yeah, it's on YouTube. So we're on YouTube and Facebook here, TikTok right here. Atheists don't just believe what's written in history either. It has to be supported. And when you look at history books, you have methodologies that are utilized in order to recognize whether or not the history book is true, or what parts of the history book is true, what parts of the history book is false. When you apply that same standard to the Bible, you find out that the overwhelming majority of the information in the Bible is false. So, yeah, it's applying the same standard of that evaluating history. You apply that same standard to the Bible, and you find out that the Bible is false. Right? And we got dumb stuff like, it's funny, people don't believe in Jesus. Jesus walked this earth, but believe Osiris, Ptah, etc. Shaking my head. I'm wondering, when did I say that I believe in Osiris or Ptah? Right? Are you saying that because I'm black? Because I'm a black man, there's a whole bunch of black people running around talking about Egypt. My family history has absolutely nothing to do with Egypt. I don't give two shits about Egypt. I can care less about Egypt. You sound a little suspect with that. I'm only saying it as a figure of speech. Okay, this is not figures. Say what you say, mean what you mean. Words mean words. When you insinuate that people believe in these other guys, that's the same way as, now it would have been better if you would say that, oh, people, they don't believe in Jesus, but they believe in Muhammad or Buddha some other God that people actually believe in today. And there are still a few people believe in the ancient Egyptian gods, but that there's enough of a people group to believe in those gods. That would make a little bit of sense. Oh, how do I sound suspect? Oh, because everybody, you have certain groups of people who all want to think that if they see a black person, every black person has to believe and act and do the same thing. That is what I mean by that. But I saw your other comment, so it stopped me from finishing that thought. But here's the thing that's interesting me, and this brings up an interesting point for Alan. I think not Alan. GC Galion. I think it's not his name. Faith. Invariably, a whole bunch of people always coming up here and they're talking about faith. They believe because they have faith. Faith. You got to have faith. And many people tell, oh, you can't understand the Bible because you don't have faith. Now, faith is that believing in something without proof. I have no proof. I can't prove it. And even in the face of proof, I'm going to have faith. But if you really want God to come down and speak to you and tell you the truth and deliver the word to you, then you got to have faith. But isn't that same faith the same faith that Muslims have? Isn't that faith the same faith that Hindus have? Buddhists don't have it. But they don't have faith in a God. But they still have a version of faith. But all this faith shit, I'm going to believe something is real with the absence of any evidence that this thing is real. And in the face of information that shows that it's not real, I'm still going to have faith in it. What makes Christian faith more valuable than any other religious faith? You see, that makes so faith, all this Jesus Lord means nothing. What about the geographic location of Rome still standing, which I think they had the trial of the what? Trial of the century. Rome existing, I mean, New York exists, trial of 2 G's, which they took out of the books. A lot of times when people say they took something out of the books, doesn't necessarily mean they took something out of the book. That's getting into a whole debate about canonization. You can't take something out of a book that never was in a book when there wasn't a book. Meaning that the first canon that you get is the 144 with Marcion. And then after that, the next canon, you get a few other canons, but then the next canon. So you got a bunch of different canons after 144. A lot of these books, as far as the canonization that most Christians use, that's the books that are in there are the books that they were originally in that canon. They didn't take nothing out. It's just the books that was in that canon. So, I got some guests. Let's go ahead and get this started. Ray.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Are you over 21, Ray?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you a believer in the Bible?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So what evidence do you have that Jesus actually existed outside the Bible?
Well, the Bible, what do you mean outside the Bible? The Bible is the most sold book in history. That's enough tangible evidence, along with the fact that like you were just saying.
Oh no, wait.
You can start for scoring all you want, but
Wait. You telling me that if a book is a bestseller, then that means that the book is true?
I mean, you don't think that it's why is it the number one book in history? You don't think
the primary reason why the Bible is actually purchased more than any other book is because there are certain Christian organizations and a lot of Christian organizations who buy the Bible to then give away for free. And so it's not like it would fit on the Amazon or the New York bestsellers list. It is just mostly sold because organizations buy the book more than anybody else.
Yeah, you just made that up. You just pulled that out of thin air.
Do you know that how old are you?
I'm 45.
Okay, you're 45. So you should remember when you was a kid, and it's still somewhat today, that almost every hotel had a Bible in it, right?
It don't matter.
No, I'm getting to a point. Almost every hotel had a Bible, and the reason why almost every hotel had a Bible is because the organization, I forgot the name of the organization, they bought all those Bibles and gave them for free to all the hotels. So I'm not making it up. It is just that is known that the missionaries, they buy the Bible to give away.
For the fact that the Bible is the most sold, the most read book in history. Don't no book compared to it. And never learn it. You know what I'm saying?
That doesn't make it true. That means that if a book like the Harry Potter book is the most known, is read, that a whole bunch of people read it, so it must be true. That's dumb.
The Harry Potter book is not the Bible is. You understand?
Dude, okay. You know what? Here's the thing. I need you to give me something. No, stop talking. Stop talking for a second. I need you to stop talking for a second. Because you need a rule here. I need to have an intelligent conversation, not about books that are sold. That's not intelligent. So give me something factual, something that proves something that's the reason why Jesus existed. That's comedy hour. Unmute your mic.
Yeah, I mean, you also have the fact that, you know, Egypt, Rome, Israel, all these places actually exist. They're not. If the Bible was a fantasy book or a book of fairy tales, like you unbelievers say, then why you can go to Egypt if you want to. You can go to these places, and you can go to Sodom and Gomorrah, where it's not even a blade of grass can grow in that place. You know why? Because it really happened. It was really destroyed with fire and brimstone. You know, there's many tangible things out there. If you look, and if you got the spirit of
okay, let's.
You don't have no.
Before you start telling me about who I am, before you start trying to evaluate who I am, because you cannot do that because you don't know me. Oh my gosh, bro. I have been to both locations that they say is Sodom and Gomorrah. I've been to the north side, that's supposed to be Sodom and Gomorrah. I've been to the Jordan side, that's supposed to be Sodom and Gomorrah. So which Sodom and Gomorrah are you talking about? Yeah, I've been to both of them. I've been to both. They're both deserts. One is in Jordan and the other one's in Israel. Okay, I've been there, but it's two of them. The point is, there's two locations. There's two locations. How can there be two locations of one place of the same event? Explain. You brought that up as tangible evidence, and my point is, and further the point of everything else that you just said, is that just because a book writes about places that actually existed does not mean the events that are in the book actually happen there, because we know what we found, the city of Troy. Let me finish. We found the city of Troy. So do you think that our Achilles exists, who was a demigod in the Greek and Roman?
Where's the city of Troy, man? You're talking about Greece, right? That's in the Bible too.
No, the city of Troy is not in the Bible. But the question is, the city of Troy was found by following the Iliad and the Odyssey. The archaeologists who found it, that's what he did. He used the Iliad and the Odyssey, and he was able to uncover the city of Troy. Now, since we know that Troy exists, no longer can we say that it was a myth of the city's existence. But does that mean that Achilles, the demigod, exists?
No, those people around in that time existed though, but as far as the Zeus and Achilles, I don't know. I didn't know Achilles was a demigod. I thought he was a man.
No, he was a demigod.
Okay, yeah, Greece, they had a war, you know, and all that stuff.
Okay, so then how can you utilize the fact that the Bible talks about Egypt and say that's proof if it's not proof for any other story?
Ethiopia, you got many places that are in the scripture. So where do you draw the line? Where do you say, okay, this is real and this is fake? You know what
Okay, so the line isn't drawn because they name places. You have to be
true, right? The Bible isn't true, right?
But you have to be able to prove that the people, and you have to be able to prove the events that happen and the people involved in the events happen. So just saying that, oh, this place existed, this city existed, and the Bible speaks of it, that doesn't mean the event happened.
Well, just to give you some information, back then, the way things were recorded was written down in books and scrolls and stuff like that. And if it was more, it's usually like, okay, you got more than one eyewitness account for this person. That's how you record in history, because you had more than one person that had corroborating story. You understand?
Yeah, but we don't have corroborating story. We have a bunch of contradictions.
Don't do that, bro. Don't just lie on the scripture.
We do have. We do. Was G?
You're somebody to know faith, dude. And
was faith ain't faith? What faith is believing something without any evidence. I'm talking about evidence.
No, it ain't. The scripture describes faith as believing in the unseen and hope in things that you can hope for. I'm driving. I will pull up the scripture. What is it?
Faith is, which is saying that I'm going. No, faith is belief in the evidence of things unseen, without knowledge of those things, without a lack of evidence. Faith is just believing.
But once again, when you have faith in the unseen, you will start to see things that will boost your faith, like Sodom and Gomorrah, like Israel, like Egypt.
But see, that's the problem. If you go to Sodom and Gomorrah, you can see that it was an air burst over. Oh my gosh, dude! In which city of Sodom and Gomorrah are you going to say is the right one? Because there's two different places that are claimed to be Sodom and Gomorrah.
I mean, you can leave Sodom. I ain't never been to Sodom and Gomorrah.
But there's two places. No, but so how? But do you see that once you start looking, once you say that Sodom and Gomorrah will then be evidence to boost Sodom and Gomorrah would then be evidence to boost your faith. I'm gonna get to Egypt. Sodom and Gomorrah would then be evidence to boost your faith, but yet you go to two different places and each one is claiming to be Sodom and Gomorrah, so that doesn't boost your faith. That creates doubt because they don't know which one it is. You go to Egypt. Egypt, there is absolutely zero evidence that the Israelites were ever slaves in Egypt. And as a matter of fact, during that time frame that they were claimed to be slaves and all these plagues happened, Egypt was thriving during the 18th dynasty. So all the proof in Egypt shows that they were never in Egypt. Moses, the Exodus, none of that stuff happened.
Oh, okay.
So
why mention Egypt then?
Because they're writing this story. They're writing this story 1,000 years after the events were supposed to have happened, and Egypt is not the power in the Levant anymore. So they're just creating their own story based on other people's story.
What about Ethiopia and all these places, you know what I'm saying, that are mentioned in the scriptures that are still there today?
And Ethiopia, do you realize that there has never been any form of Christianity in Ethiopia until 330 CE? That this whole Ethiopian eunuch, and as a matter of fact, the Ethiopian eunuch, in the time frame of the 1st century, Ethiopia meant burnt face. It wasn't a country. It was just meant burnt face. That was actually the Axiom Empire at that time frame. So a burnt face person would have been called an Ethiopian.
So much about history, y'all know the Bible in and out, but you just don't got that one key thing, which is faith.
Oh, so dude. No, this is stupid. This is dumb. This is dumb. This is dumb because here's the thing. I got to have faith so I can be dumb enough to believe something, even in the face of valid information and evidence. I just explained how Ethiopia in 1st century just meant burnt face. There was no such place as Ethiopia. But his contention is that because the country Ethiopia exists today, then that makes it valid. When the Bible speaks of the Ethiopian eunuch, it ain't talking about the country Ethiopia. That person wouldn't have been from the country of Ethiopia. That's what knowledge gets you. Knowledge gets you to the point where you say, oh, damn, I realized that when I was saying Ethiopia is proof of the Bible, because Ethiopia was mentioned, Ethiopia there, that ain't what they meant in 1st century. So then you dig and you find out what did that mean in 1st century. Oh, it meant a burnt-faced person. Okay, so that could be any black person from any country that is doing trade in the Levant in 1st century. with the Roman Empire. It could have meant any of that. So y'all be killing me. Thank you, the Fonzies, for 400 joules, 440 joules. Thank you for that. Oh, Happy Poop. Thank you. What is that? Bible Mind Control for the 10 joules. Yep. I will make sure I have a Happy Poop today. All right. Let me see who's next. I saw the names earlier, but a couple of names dropped that I saw first. You know, I'm gonna start qualifying people to be able to talk to me. Because in all honesty, and nothing against the guy, he's just not qualified. He can't think through a situation. Ray just don't have I really shouldn't even talk to him. Shit. James. Kofi James.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Yes, sir.
All right, Kofi, are you over 21?
Oh yeah.
All right, are you a believer?
Believe in what?
The Bible. Do you believe in Jesus?
No. Well, you know, everybody's been indoctrinated, but no, I don't believe that he ever existed.
Okay.
There's no burial site, and you know, through my studies, I found out he was a pharaoh. They got the story. The Greeks got that story from a pharaoh.
The Greeks got the story from a pharaoh.
Yep.
Okay, I would. Please
well,
explain.
I was reading about a pharaoh named Akhenaten, married to Nefertiti, and he used to go into the temples and turn over the temple tables. That's there we go. There you go. Jesus did the same thing. Turned over the temples. They the same people.
Okay, well, I ain't gonna say that. When you say the same people, do you mean that literally, or that?
I mean,
they took aspects.
Story. The Greeks or Romans, they wanted to take the kingdom from them, so they created a Jesus. See, Akhenaten was getting us to worship the sun, the monolithic God. The Romans and the Greeks, they couldn't control us by that. They had to have a physical man that we worship to control us. So they had an artist draw a picture of a Jesus. They got that story from Akhenaten. See, all the information was written on stone.
Okay, but see, here's the pushback to that.
Huh?
When did Akhenaten change water into wine?
Those were created stories.
When did Akhenaten die and ascend and resurrect for people's sin?
Those are created stories. See, when they goofed up when they put in there that Jesus had hair of wool, feet of bronze.
Okay.
That made him a black man. Then they say he's from a tribe of Judah. That means he's a Aboriginal.
Hold on.
Okay.
Wait. But I do want to get into that. But the reason why I brought up those other things, water in the wine, resurrection, is because the Jesus narrative actually is more of it's not Akhenaten directly. It's a compilation of a whole bunch of people. Dionysus, Mithra, Osiris. You got Apollonius of Tyana. There's a bunch of people where you can see parts of the Jesus story. So are you
if they brought go ahead.
So are you and I hope I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like you're trying to force the Jesus narrative into Egypt because you're black. And you want to be and
the Bible said he had feet of bronze, hair of wool, feet of bronze. He's from the tribe of Judah. That means he's an Aboriginal man. He's a prince.
An Aboriginal man?
He's an Aboriginal. He's an indigenous. He's from a tribe called Judah. Okay? That means he's a black man. That's common sense right there.
No, that's not common sense.
I'm saying he's from a tribe of Judah. Tribe of Judah. Follow me. He's from the tribe of Judah. Who comes from tribes?
Everybody.
Okay? The tribe of Judah was a spiritual tribe.
Okay.
How? What? We don't even have proof that Judah ever existed. We don't have proof that Shem ever existed. Noah never existed. So none of those all those tribes and their attributes are made up stuff.
We have proof that Akhenaten existed because he's on stone. See, everything is not out the Bible. So you're trying to find your way out the Bible.
No, I'm trying to find how you connecting this, bro, because you trying to take make believe things. You're trying to take things that are make believe and connect it to something that's real. I agree. Akhenaten is real. Akhenaten was a pharaoh of Egypt. He brought in monotheism. 17 years later, they kicked his ass out of there because he was the priest. The other priest was like, hell no. And so they got rid of Akhenaten. But what we don't see, and trying to connect that to, there was no, during the reign of Akhenaten, there was no such thing as an Israelite in that world at that time frame. We don't have the first thing of an Israelite until around the 1200s BCE. Before that, there are no
fake. That was a fake group, Israelites. All that 12 tribe stuff. Everything. See, if you go into the Bible, you're gonna get lost. You're gonna get lost in the sauce.
But you're using the Bible.
You gotta go into the stone, man. You gotta go on hieroglyphics.
Okay.
That's what all the truth is.
So then why are you talking about a tribe of Judah that is only from the Bible?
Because that Bible leads you right back to the stone. When you told me he had a arrow with feet of bronze, he from the tribe of Judah, I left the Bible and right back to the stone.
Why they didn't take you to the Dahomey or some West African tribe? Why didn't take you down there?
It took me to the stones. And the stones are all over the world. It took me to the stones. That's where you find all knowledge.
What stones?
All knowledge come from the stone before the Bible. The hieroglyphic, the pyramids.
No, see, you said stones all over the world. That's the hieroglyphics. That's just in Egypt. Yeah. Because the stone writings, the writing in stone, that's the Aboriginal people in Australia wrote. That's a different language.
Oh, bro, I got hieroglyphics in America, bro. The Grand Canyon is I got Sphinx over there.
No, it's not.
You didn't know
it's not.
That?
No, yes, no, don't do that because that'll get you cut off. That gaslighting type attitude to get you cut off real quick.
No. I'm saying you got thousands of pyramids.
No, you don't, brother. You do have pyramids in America. I
teach it,
bro. If you can't stop fucking just trying to overtalk me. When you mentioned pyramids in the Grand Canyon, that was a hoax that was performed by an Arizona newspaper in order to sell papers. There has never, ever, ever been a Smithsonian investigation. That is not why there are certain areas of the Grand Canyon that are off limits. That story has been debunked so many times, but yet people who want the Egypt thing grab a hold to that story. There's no fucking hieroglyphs in the United States. And yes, are there mounds, pyramid-shaped mounds? There are pyramid-shaped mounds all over the world. And that is because the pyramid is the most stable structure and the most common structure to build when you're using earth and material. You don't have to teach each other to do that. That's something that people just inherently will come to. Babies do that on their own without being taught that.
Yeah, just YouTube pyramids in America, and you'll see that there are thousands. I do a class on that for the last 15 years.
I agree that there are thousands of pyramid structures in the United States, especially up the Mississippi River and up into Ohio, because it's the easiest and most stable structure to build when you are using earth and material. And like I said, babies will, and when you give babies blocks, at some point the baby will make the blocks into a pyramid. You don't have to be taught that. Nobody had to come sail across the water to teach you that.
On the Mississippi River and the Nile River, they had 3 government cities: Cairo, Memphis, and Alexandria. It's on the Nile River and the Mississippi River. Egypt is also in America, brother.
Oh my God!
Isn't that ironic? Cairo?
No, it's not ironic. Bro, you know what? I'm from Georgia, right? And did you know we got a Bethlehem, Georgia. Did you know that? So that means Georgia is actually Israel, right?
America's an ancient city, brother.
That means that, does that mean that Georgia is Israel? Because we got a Bethlehem, Georgia. Does that make Georgia Israel?
An ancient.
Does
what,
answer my question? Is Georgia Israel because we have a Bethlehem, Georgia?
Possibly.
Possibly.
It could happen here as well.
Well, what about Bethlehem, Pennsylvania? Because I also went there to train TSA Airport. They got a Bethlehem, Pennsylvania as well. So is Pennsylvania Israel or is Georgia Israel?
No. People can label names of inspiration.
Oh my God, like Memphis, like Cairo.
But
exactly.
It's on the same spot in the map.
No, it's not.
Lower Mississippi, Cairo.
No.
Middle Mississippi, Memphis. Upper is
it is
just like the Nile River.
It is not. It's
shaped the same. It's shaped the same way as the Nile River and Mississippi River. They shaped it the same way.
It is not. I've been on both of them, and it is not.
Okay.
Not even close.
I'm just saying America's a ancient Kemetic society as well.
Bro, you know what? That's not my conversation, Dave. You have a great day. You have a great day.
Open the door for you. Open the door for you.
Yeah, I close the door for you. I will close that. Oh my good. It's already obscenely hot in San Antonio today. What in the hell is wrong with these people? America is an ancient Kemetic city. America is the real place where all these things in the Bible was actually happening. It's amazing that people actually went from the ancient world who came over here to this place and started building and conquering. They named shit after places that they already knew about in the Mediterranean. That couldn't happen. I bet you. So by his theory, you look at, it's so simple. If you were to do a query of how many cities in America are named after ancient Israelite cities, like Bethlehem, Jericho, Nazareth, and Jerusalem, and all that, you're gonna come up with probably a good few hundred cities in America named after cities in the Bible. And you want to take that and say, oh no, see, that just proved this was the actual. Oh my God. Brother, where you been? I had a lot going on the last 2 days, man. A lot going on. I wasn't able to do live last 2 days. There's about 5 to 6 Bethlehems. Exactly. Oh my God. Thank you for the 10 jewels, Bible Mind Control. This is it. I said I wanted to have a qualified conversation. And he started out like he actually might have known something. And I do classes. I knew people who I know pastors who was doing classes. And all these conspiracy theories. I hear you, GC. You talking about America. The United States. I really would like for y'all to just look at the Mississippi River, look at the Nile River. They in no way match how they run, how they are symbolized, how they move. In no way. Cut. Cut.
According to your prod, do you believe
Hold
that
on.
Jesus was
Hold
not
on. Wait.
a historical person?
Wait. Are you over 21?
Yes.
Okay. Are you a believer in Jesus?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you believe that Jesus was not a real person in the first century?
Yeah, no. So what's your proof that he was?
I think you have the burden of proof because there's a wide consensus that he was.
There used to be a wide consensus that Earth was flat.
How do you know that?
There was a wide consensus. Most of the population believed that the world was flat. Consensus don't mean shit.
Prove it.
What is your proof that Jesus exists?
Prove that most of the world thought it was flat.
Bro, you're not gonna come.
Prove it.
First of all,
you're just gonna spit facts.
First of all, sir, you don't come on my channel telling me what to do. So I had the burden of, and so let's go back to your statement. The burden of proof. I'm not making an extraordinary claim. Jesus didn't exist. Up here, plenty of proof that the Jesus character never existed. We can take any one of those subject matters and debate them as to whether or not they prove or disprove Jesus. So, so the first one that's up there is the fact of when was he born? According to the Bible, which is your only proof of a actual personage of Jesus, which then would make that a second circular argument. Matthew says Jesus was born no later than 4 BCE. Luke indicates Jesus was born in 6 CE. That's a 10-year gap. No person can be born at 2 different time frames, 10 years apart.
Yeah, there's a so the Bible's not only our source of proof. You just making that claim.
Okay, what's your other source of proof? But first, handle the when was he born?
I'm Eastern Orthodox, by the way, so obviously we don't hold to scripture only.
Okay, when was he born?
When was he born?
When was he born? When was Jesus born?
I don't have the exact date.
I mean, you're Eastern Orthodox. Do you follow the book of Matthew?
Of course.
Do you follow the book of Luke?
Of course.
Book of Matthew says that he was born during the reign of King Herod, right?
Yeah, we believe that there's variances in the Bible that doesn't refute it.
Variances or contradictions?
Variances are not contradictions. You can look at
No, I said variances or contradictions.
Variances.
Okay, so Jesus being born in before 4 BCE or being born in 6 CE, it's not a variance. That's a contradiction.
That's a definition of a variance, bro. What are you talking about? let's define variance real quick. You want me to define it for you? Because you want to define it or not?
No, you know what? I'm going to, because
let's define.
We're going to define it. You and I would define it in so many words, if you understand what I'm saying, right? So let's just go to a straight up, and just look at not what I would say, not what you would say. Variance means a difference, change, or the extent in which data points spread out from the average value. Depending on the context, it refers to statistical disparation, financial discrepancies, or legal property exceptions. Should put my reading glasses on. Okay, so it's broken down into different, was it talking about statistic and probability, and finance and law and property. So,
so does it not say there's an extent?
So the average square
to which data points are different, right?
The extent to which data points are different.
Exactly. So that would be a variance by definition, right?
No, it would not. No.
2 different dates, bro.
But it's
That's
2.
A variance.
No, if it was, so let's say you and I were discussing, what's something that would fit into that category? Let's say I already got it. Let's say you and I were discussing the time frame in which Marcionism was in existence as far as Christianity. We would give a variance of time, a range. We can say from around 130 to 170. That's a variance of range. We got a different range, but we're still solidly talking about the same thing, that Marcion and Marcionism existed. When we're talking about this situation, was a person born? You can't have a variance of a birth of a person. A person is either born or they were not born. And then the information utilized to determine when the person was born further strips it away from being a variance. Now, the variance is did Herod die in 6 BCE or did he die in 4 BCE? Because we're not sure, but we know it happened somewhere around in there. There's no other information that says Herod, if it said that, well, Herod was still alive during a certain person's coming of age or a certain person did something, and we know that happened in 5 BCE, then we know he didn't die in 6. So then that will get rid of 6. And that's how we create variances. We bookend it with 2 different things. The birth of Jesus can't be bookended with the death of Herod and the governorship of Quirinius, because those 2 things never happened anywhere near each other. So that's why it's a contradiction, not a variance.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can agree to disagree. Can we go to the next variable?
You can disagree all you want to. Man can't, you can't be born when 2 people wouldn't have been, one person would have been dead and the other person was alive. And you're saying
did Matthew or Luke say he definitively was born on this X date and it can't be another date?
Okay. Did they give an actual, nobody gives a date. Y'all don't have dates.
Exactly.
So no, you can't, don't try to like move it to specifics.
It's an argument from silence, my point.
No, it's not an argument from silence. Matthew says that Jesus, does Matthew say that Jesus was born during the reign of King Herod the Great?
No, I'm aware of your argument. I have no problem with it.
All right, so this is why the variance is the years in which Jesus could have been born during the reign of King Herod in Matthew.
So does this refute Jesus' existence just because you have 2 different dates?
Oh, that's part of it. It is the mountain of information.
That refutes his existence? Are you crazy?
I said that's part.
I didn't mean to say that.
That's part of it. And yeah, let's not get into the name calling because then that's going to go a different direction.
A little caffeinated right now.
That ain't nothing wrong with that.
But yeah, I don't think.
But there's the mountain.
I don't think this variable is a good argument to refute his existence. I think there's other ones.
Well, actually, that is a very strong one to refute whether or not a person existed, because now it's leaning more into the fairy tale type of creation.
Can we do like a historical critique of Jesus' existence rather than?
Let's go. Who you want to pick?
I mean, do you believe that there was a 1st, 2nd, 3rd century church that exists today? This is an epistemic question.
Do I believe there's a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd century churches that exist today? Sure.
Yes.
What does that matter?
Yeah. So before we even like critique the Bible, like where did the Bible come from?
It comes out of Judaism. Well, no, sorry, that's the wrong answer. You say, where does the Bible come from? Which Bible?
Who compiled the Bible that we call the Bible today?
Well, which one? Are you talking about the Ethiopian, the Roman Catholics, the Protestants, the Eastern Orthodox? Whose Bible? There are multiple different Bibles. Like you said you were Eastern Orthodox, right?
Yeah, I mean,
what, y'all didn't get y'all canonization of a Bible till 302 CE?
Yeah, we had an open canon until
4th
century.
Yeah, to 302 CE. The Ethiopians got theirs in 330. The Romans.
But we only differentiate on the Old Testament, not the New Testament.
Mm-hmm. But then Marcion had his in 144.
Yeah, but Marcion rejected all of Paul's letters.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, look it up.
No, Marcion's the whole thing of wait, dude, I don't think you know the Marcion Bible. Now you're halfway right.
He just rejected some of them?
He only rejected some of them. The ones that most people say are pseudographical, Marcion rejected those. But the ones that most people think are written by the same author, but stellometry shows that they're not. Marcion accepted those letters, like first letter and second letter of first letter of Corinth, letter of Ephesians, all those he accepts. Those are in the Evangelion.
Yeah, what was Marcion's? I mean, I don't even know. I didn't really dug into deep with Marcion, but what was his argument to reject any of Paul's letters? Because there wasn't autographs back then.
I don't know. I can't answer that question as to why he rejected the pseudographical letters. Actually, there's a leading thought process that the letters of Paul were actually written by followers of Marcion or Marcion himself.
Yeah, I think that would be a bad argument.
Well, you just said you don't really know much about Marcion, so you can't really qualify it as a good or bad argument. You have to know the argument.
I can use epistemic justification on why that wouldn't be true.
No, you're just jumping to a conclusion without evaluating the information.
Well, no, I'll answer epistemically. Like the
What-
church was.
What does that word mean?
Before Marcion.
What was that word mean?
Epistemic it just means how we ground what we call truth.
Right. So it's already based on what you already have decided is truth. It's not a good argument.
Well, the thing is, like, if I appeal to the church as normative authority for my epistemic answer, how is that circular?
Because you're appealing to a group that has already made a decision as to what the truth is, and so by
There was
utilizing,
open canon. We agreed. There was open canon at that time. So no, they didn't say it was truth or not. But what they did say was Marcion was a heretic and he rejected the Trinity.
yeah, he rejected the Trinity, and that's
He was not part of the church.
But so what?
So
There
he
were
just-
plenty.
They could have made their own Bible.
Yeah, and a lot of people did. A lot of people did make their own versions. They had a lot of there were plenty of different variations of Christianity through the late 1st century, 2nd century, 3rd century, 4th century. Just like there are 11 different variations of Christianity now.
Yeah,
And every last
Orthodox is so like
and every last one of them claim to be true.
Well, the thing is, you 99% of that is Protestants.
So
So that's not really a good argument to use a EO.
okay, so you would say 99% of those are Protestant. In
For sure.
the earlier 1st century, in the later 1st century, into the 2nd century and 3rd century, the overwhelming majority of people who believed in Christianity were either Jewish Christians or Gnostics. Orthodox Christianity was actually in the minor group until around the 4th century.
Yeah. But the
So
thing is,
based
so
based on what you're saying though, how you just did Protestants, those I can do your Orthodox the same way you just did Protestants. You see what I'm saying?
No,
That argument don't work.
I'm not appealing to majority. The thing is, appealing to majority is a fallacy, right?
You're
Yeah,
appealing.
it is.
No,
That is a fallacy.
No. That's not.
Appealing to a majority.
Stop. That's not what I'm going at. I wasn't appealing to majority.
Okay.
What I was appealing to is because it seemed like what you were appealing to when you said that about the Protestants is that the Protestants are really based on the Catholics, and then and these are the more older ancient churches like the Eastern Orthodox older ancient churches, right?
Well, yeah. We
That-
know
that was your-
Protestants came out in the 1500s.
Right. So what I'm saying is Marcionites were around before your Orthodox. The Valentinians are before your Orthodox. The Gnostics,
The early church fathers?
the Gnostic and the Jewish Christian were before them.
Wait, can you stop? Because you made a claim there. I got it, Justin, please.
Mhm.
You just said that Marcionites were before the Eastern Orthodox. Are you serious?
Yeah, I would greatly stake that claim.
But the thing is, have you looked into the early church fathers? They were not Marcionites, like Ignatius, Polycarp. You know that, right?
Yeah, and I do understand that.
Okay, they were before Marcionites.
Um,
They were literally disciples of the apostles.
no, they weren't.
So Ignatius wasn't a disciple of John. Polycarp wasn't a disciple of John.
No, Polycarp never claimed to be a disciple of John. Show me where Polycarp.
Irenaeus said that.
Exactly. Irenaeus makes that claim. Polycarp never makes that claim.
But that's an argument for silence. He never said he wasn't.
And when did Irenaeus make this claim?
I mean, Polycarp never said he wasn't. So I think it's an argument for silence by using.
Oh, so now you can use an argument for silence.
No, I don't want to use the argument for silence. I think you're trying to doing that. Just because Irenaeus said it doesn't mean Polycarp wasn't.
But Polycarp never says it. Don't you think that if I'm Polycarp, I'm going to make the claim that I learned I was a hearer of John?
Why does he need to do that? Because
See-
the churches he was writing to.
Then how are you establishing? How do you? But you're establishing the church fathers' connection with, the whole apostolic ascension. You're claiming apostolic ascension by saying that he was a hearer of John.
Okay, how about this? Was Polycarp a Marcionite? Yes or no?
No, Polycarp wasn't a Marcionite.
He definitely wasn't a Marcionite.
But we don't even know.
Look at his writings. He's a Trinitarian. Dude.
He is a Trinitarian.
Yeah. So the thing is, why do you say Marcionites are before EOs? Polycarp's a saint in the EO church.
Because that doctrine was already there, is what I'm saying. So
But
I see what
Marcionites came after Polycarp.
I'm saying that to say this.
Okay.
Although Polycarp does come before Marcion, let me rephrase that. Although Polycarp and Marcion are somewhat contemporaries of one another, somewhat.
True.
Polycarp is born slightly before Marcion, right?
Yes.
So
correct.
somewhat contemporaries of one another. Would have been grown man's men, maybe separated by 10, 12 years.
I agree.
Right. So both of them are walking around at the same time. They can have different thought processes at that same time. So, but Marcion and Polycarp were not one, and they didn't believe in the same thing. They had differences of belief.
Yes.
The establishment of their teachings were established in around the same time frame. I will put it in that term when it comes to.
That's what I'm saying. I was just saying, I'm not trying to stop you or I got you moment. I'm just saying, Polycarp. Sorry, I said Marcionites were not before EOs. That's all I'm trying to get at.
Well,
I think it's unfair statement.
and it's not, and this is why I say that.
Okay.
What many of the churches, like the Eastern Orthodox, like the Catholics, what they did is once they try to establish themselves through apostolic succession in order to give them authority back to Jesus. But we actually don't have solid proof that those people actually believe the same thing that y'all believe. And actually we have, there's evidence that is different.
I can answer that. So you know the Church of Thessalonica in Ephesus? You know they're Eastern Orthodox, right?
You mean like right now?
Like you can look it up. Like they were first century Church of Thessalonica, Church of Ephesus. They were definitely Eastern Orthodox. They had the same values.
They might be Eastern Orthodox today. Okay. Does your church believe the same thing that it believed about 1,500 years ago?
In what sense?
In every sense of the way. Everything y'all do, everything you believe.
Foundationally, yes.
No, I said everything.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna say foundationally, yes. I don't know.
Okay, I don't know a lot about the Eastern Orthodox Church, so let me be clear about that one. What was the Eastern Orthodox Church thought process on slavery back in the day? Do you know?
Well, I would. So this kind of going to a different rabbit hole here, but are you aware of the Byzantine Empire?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the only empire that had Eastern Orthodox values as a society or worldview per se. So if you look into the Byzantine Empire, I think that can answer your question. I don't want to speak on it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the Byzantine Empire, they allowed slavery. So.
Yeah, I mean, if they did, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm just gonna appeal to that.
Okay.
Because they did have that was the only empire that had Judeo-Christian values.
Okay, so in the 5th century, I just looked up 5th century Eastern Orthodox stance on slavery. They believed in the spiritual equality between slave and master. So they were viewed equally as part of God's in the same sacrament body, but the slave was still a slave. You still didn't own yourself. Chattel slavery is still okay. They believe in humane treatment of slaves, right? So they did believe, and they did encourage the freeing of slaves, but they didn't have a problem with owning slaves.
Okay.
So would you say the Eastern Orthodox Church today, do they have a problem with owning slaves?
Today, I would say yes.
Okay. So churches didn't. So what your church believes now is not what your church believed in the 5th century.
But the thing is, it wasn't a dogmatic statement, though.
But would you agree that what your church believes today is not what your church believes in the 5th century?
Dogmatically, it's I wouldn't say. How do you say this? Let me rephrase that. In a dogmatic sense, it's pretty much. Would you agree that what you just quoted right there was the church was leaving it open?
No, they weren't leaving it open. They were saying that it's okay to have slaves. They just treat your slaves fairly, and if there's a way for if your slave can earn a way to free himself, then allow your slave to earn a way to free themselves. But they were perfectly fine with.
That was the economic norms back then, right?
No,
It wasn't. They had capitalism back then.
well, yeah, they did actually. Yes.
But like I'm talking like a free in a free way.
Yeah.
So they had
This is one of the reasons why the United States based a lot of its formation on Rome. But yeah, they had.
Well, the church is the one that.
But we're going left. Going left.
No,
They allowed chattel slavery. They were fine with chattel slavery.
What's that word you're saying?
Chattel.
I don't know what that means.
That means that you own a person as property.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but would you not say the church is the one that pushed free slavery?
They're one of the components, but so.
Okay, so it's like.
What does that matter? Well, actually, that proves my point. The church changes its views, but the Bible is supposed to be the same thing, right? But the church over time changes its viewpoints.
The Bible doesn't say you should own slaves.
Leviticus 25.
You shall own slaves. Does it say you shall own slaves?
Yeah, it literally says that. It literally says, of your male and female slaves, you will buy them.
No. I said, does it say you shall have slaves?
It says that of your male and female slaves, you will buy them.
It doesn't say what I'm saying.
Dude,
you shall have slaves.
you're trying to split a hair that doesn't even need to be split. The fact that
telling you to have slaves is my point. There's slave people. Most people did have slaves. You agree with that?
well, let me ask you a question. Does the Bible tell you to breathe? Does it tell you to walk? Does the Bible tell you that you're supposed to bang your wife?
I mean, it talks about consummation of marriage.
Oh, no. But does the Bible specifically say you shall bang your wife?
Not verbatim.
Then don't give me this verbatim shit with the slavery.
Well, you're making it seem like God's telling you to own slaves.
No, I'm saying what the Bible says, that you can own slaves. God is saying that you.
So he says you can, but he's not saying to do it, right?
Actually, if we want to get there, I can actually get there, because what the Bible does tell Joshua when I think it's the Danites have an issue conquering their people, is to own them as slaves. But it does say that, and of the neighboring countries, you will own them as slaves. So yeah, in the conquest of Joshua, it tells them to own the people as slaves. Own your neighboring countries as slaves.
Okay.
So we can go there and say the Bible that God says, yeah, own, unless you're an Israelite, own everybody else as slaves.
Okay.
But we're getting so far away from the point. The point is that the Bible, the teachings change. They don't stay the same.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the word Trinity comes about.
So in that,
later, right?
that's not where I'm going.
There's an evolution.
Not where I'm going.
Okay.
So in the thing of apostolic succession, what the Eastern Orthodox established in 300 does not necessarily mean it's the same thing that Polycarp was teaching in the 100s.
Yeah, I told you foundationally they are harmonizing, but there is other variables that are left out for sure.
And foundationally, the Methodist Church is doing the same shit as the Catholic Church.
Well, I think Catholics are doing a lot of wrong things, so
and foundationally, the Catholics and the Easterns are doing a lot of the same things too. Foundationally, y'all believe in the Trinity, right?
Yeah.
Foundationally, y'all believe that Jesus is the Son of God.
Well,
right?
actually, I mean, Catholics don't really hold to the Nicene Creed anymore.
Dude,
They lead it fairly awkward,
okay.
which would contradict the Nicene Creed.
Okay. And honestly, on this part, I can care less. We're talking about proving
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Let's prove Jesus.
You just brought up Baptists and Catholics. So.
I'm just saying, yeah, the whole thing about this foundation. And so the proof of Jesus, Polycarp doesn't prove Jesus existed. Polycarp's, the only thing you can claim is that Irenaeus said that Polycarp was a student of, that he heard the words of John spoken from John. But then you have to prove that John actually existed. And there's no proof that John existed. And then there's no proof that Jesus existed. So it kind of stops right there with somebody just making a statement of authoritative claim.
Did Pontius Pilate exist?
There is evidentially he did.
Why?
Well, one, we found there's the Pilate stone, which we found 1960s, I think, that shows that Pontius Pilate was the prefect over. That Pontius Pilate was a prefect. And then you got, even though, so Tacitus gets his title wrong when Tacitus said that he was the procurator, I think, over Judea. But so we do have some archaeological elements and some document elements, which documentation is like lower bar, but the archaeological evidence of the stone that mentions that Pilate was the procurator, the governor over Judea, prefect, he was a prefect and governor of Judea, then that leads to that Pilate most likely existed, but it doesn't mean he crucified Jesus.
Okay, I'm just trying. I'm not like trying to do a gotcha, but I'm just curious if you think Pontius Pilate was a real person.
Yeah, for right now, I think he was a real person. The evidence that we have, I would say that Pilate was a real person.
So is it safe to say you're appealing to artifacts as a historical sense that Pontius Pilate was a historical person?
Yeah, artifacts make a big deal.
So
Yeah.
there's no artifacts of Jesus.
No, none, not a one.
So where there's artifacts of apostles.
Not one artifact of an apostle.
So you're not aware of the relics.
I'm very aware of the relics.
I'm not even I really dug into the relics, like in the system, debate about it, but it seems like you have. So what's your argument against the relics?
Okay, so like one relic that your church should have. I don't know if it does, but it should have, especially since you mentioned the Byzantine Empire, and that is the true cross, right? You know what the true cross is?
I was actually thinking about I was thinking about something else, but go ahead.
So the true cross is supposed to be the cross that Jesus was hung from, right? This,
like a picture of it?
yeah.
Okay.
This is,
isn't that a Catholic thing?
well, it's a little bit all around because
Yeah, okay.
because over time, and especially when it was first discovered, when it was first claimed to be discovered by Constantine's mother, Helena claimed that she found the true cross of Jesus, and then she broke up pieces of it and she gave it out to different people around the Mediterranean. And I don't know if she gave it to the Byzantine. I'm pretty sure. Well, she was part of the Byzantine Empire. What the hell am I talking about? But I don't know if it was given to anyone in your church group during that time frame. But she gave out pieces of it as a kind of a, diplomatic present. You know, how they.
I would say she definitely did, because it was Constantine that even called for the Nicene Constantinople Council.
You would say she definitely what?
So the Nicene Constantinople Council was there in Constantine's time.
Okay, yeah. What I got to do with what I was saying?
Well, I'm just saying, because you said something like, you don't know if your church has it, so I guess they would.
Yeah, I don't know if your church. Well, see, they gave out pieces of that cross to other neighboring powers in order to foster unity with the Roman Empire at that time frame. Because the Roman Empire had been split, and then they came back together. After the Constantine defeated Maxentius, and so Helena gave out pieces of the cross to all these other churches and organizations and kings and queens and whatnot in order to foster unity within the Roman Empire. So many people have this relic that they're claiming to be the true cross, but we know that it's not an actual, there's no proof that this was the cross that Jesus was hung on. So it doesn't prove Jesus. So when you say relics,
I really dug into that. Does it say how she knows it's a true cross? I don't know.
Because some people told her.
Oh, okay.
Literally, because the local people said, yeah, this is it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like,
Oh, my bad. And wait. You'll like this. There's two different variations of the story, but one of the stories that was written by Eusebius is that she had 3 different crosses, and sick people came up and touched each one of the crosses. But then this one woman who was sick, she comes up and touched this one cross, and she's all of a sudden healed from her sickness. And so she said, this is the true cross of Jesus.
I like it.
Yeah, I know. I said you like it. I figured you like that.
I'm gonna drop you a follow. I'm gonna eat right now, but
Okay.
Sorry, that was sorry I called you crazy.
It's all right. Forgotten.
But, hey, good talk. We're talking sushi.
All right, good conversation. Thanks. Later. See, now, at first dude who came up here, you see how that man at least tried to bring some kind of education to the conversation? Not that dumb shit. Oh, shit. Okay, a bunch of people tried to come up, but it didn't, I don't know what order that you click on. So I'm just clicking. I know most people probably are not waiting anymore. I am culture. I am culture. Thanks for the gloves. Appreciate any gifts that are given. Thank you for the gloves. Get my Mike Tyson on. The golden gloves. I am culture. You're here. Are you here? Are you there? I am culture. Guess not. All right. Let's click on some more of these. See who is still here. Who's not here? It's like 90-something, 99 degrees here in San Antonio. So even though I got air conditioning in my garage and everything blowing, it is still kind of warm. Oh, Lightning McQueen, thank you for the chow. Got the chow. Thank you for. I love the first movie Cars. Second movie Cars, nah, not so much. First movie, no, the second one was all right. Oh, stop. Dizzy, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here.
How you doing? Are you over 21? Oh shit! It brought up 2 people. All right, let me talk to and let me talk to Dizzy first.
Yeah.
All right, Dizzy,
How's it going?
are you over 21?
Yes, I'm 57.
All right, are you a believer in Jesus?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What is your evidence that Jesus actually existed other than the circular argument of the Bible?
And first century Christians and all that. None of that does anything. And it amazes me that you studied all of it. You don't believe.
Why are you offended?
Excuse me?
Why does that offend you?
No, I didn't say offended.
Oh, what'd you say?
I said it amazes me.
Oh, amazes you. Okay.
When I heard all the information that I was talking about.
Okay.
I work in community. I've worked in community for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
People that claim agnostic, I see them having more God in them than church sometimes. And I'm serious. That's why I came up, bro, because I work in community. And this is why I believe. Because the law question regarding that, if you don't mind, I'm sorry.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't normally do more than one person. because
No, I know. I'm sorry. I just like my question. It directly involves what you just said, and waiting till the end, like people get diverted to.
okay, ask your question.
So what is the difference between the Bible and Harry Potter?
He's asking you, Dizzy.
No, I'm asking both. They're both books written by that wrote it. She knows what she wrote the fiction. That wrote it. She makes millions of dollars. She had no time.
Hold on, Dizzy. Before you continue, what does that have to do with the statement that he made that he sees more God in agnostics, I think, than Christians?
What does that have to do?
Yeah, what does that question have to do with that?
All right, let him Google it real quick.
No. You said that you wanted to interrupt and ask a question because it pertained to what he said.
Yeah.
But that question, so how does that question pertain to what he said?
She was talking about the book that was written by God, but it was more of a from like a book that was decided upon 10 disciples to write the book. So what is that difference of a book written by 10 disciples, whatever, versus Harry Potter? A book written by somebody. Let's
You're-
look down. A book written by somebody.
He didn't say anything about the book.
No, I know, but I'm questioning that part of it. I'm talking about the Bible.
Hold on, Dizzy. Okay. And no disrespect. You can come back up later. But it seems like you just came on because you had something that you wanted to talk about, you wanted to say, and so you wanted to do it now instead of waiting like I asked you to wait because I had clicked on multiple people, but Dizzy came up first, and I said I normally don't do that, but I asked you to just wait, but you just wanted to talk anyway because that has absolutely nothing. And even though me and Dizzy are probably going to have a whole bunch of disagreements, when there's not, I'm a fair person. That had shit to do with what Dizzy said. That was dishonest. And I don't give a damn if you agree with me on most of my points or not. Even if you do agree with me, I'm gonna call you out on some bullshit. And that was bullshit, dude. That was not respectful of my channel. That was not respectful of what the first statements that Dizzy said. So don't do that shit. If you want to weigh in on what we're talking about immediately, put it in the fucking comments. But when I tell you to wait and you don't know how to wait, shut all the fucks up. Now, Dizzy, you were saying that.
Okay. I work in community. And a lot of the young guys that come through, they advise and gossip. And I see more God in them sometimes than I do people in the church. And I think religion is a problem, not God per se.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we gotta read through these books and find the character of God. Like with my understanding, it's the law and the gospel. Like we can't live without them. Like we can't live without the law and the gospel. You know what I mean? The 10. Now, let me explain now. The 10, like what they call the Big 10. You know what I mean? And people don't listen. I'm not saying they do. But once that part of the gospel got out, the world started getting rid of the gospel. That's when the world started changing from the gospel. You know what I mean? Not the Old Testament, the gospel. When people, when it said, what he said, what God said, it all boiled out to love God with everything you got. When you go look up what loving God is, it's following his rules. And his rules is love God with everything you got. That's what he said, boiled down to. And loving thy neighbor as thyself. We can't survive without that. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Do unto others as you would love to do unto you. My proof is not one of an analytical proof. It's actually living in community and seeing when people accept the ways and don't get caught up in a name. Yahweh Shai, Yahushua, Jesus, but his words, the red letters, living that and seeing people trying to take upon that character of those red letters. I've seen them leave the streets, get a job, become fathers, because my community is riddled with gang violence. And a lot of times, the only thing people where we live got is that gospel. You know what I mean? One person got on and was smart. He said it trying to be jokingly. He said, well, that's for poor people. The Bible says that. It's for poor people. You know what I mean? And I think it's the only way out for a lot of people is the law and the gospel. I'm not nowhere near as intelligent as you are. I heard you talking.
Okay.
You have made me the information.
So
No, you did, man.
I appreciate that. So let me ask you this
Like
question.
like what made you? How did you learn all that?
Independent studying, studying under archaeologists, biblical scholars, traveling to a bunch of these countries, going into libraries, going into the bottom of museums. Just that
He
over.
said, bottom of it.
Yeah, what you see in the up top of the museum is only about 10% of what the museum actually have, because they're still curating a lot of things. So if you can gain access to the bottom of the museum, which is where the majority of the things, they got things down there that will never be displayed, and they got things down there that won't come out for 20 years because they're still curating it. And then they put stuff out that they think is going to make money, right? And people going to come in and look at it and it's going to be interesting. So that's what you're seeing. But the biggest part of a museum is actually curating data. And then sometimes the only way to find out that data is either you go and ingratiate yourself with those people, or you read the journals that they publish their findings in. So you can read the journals and the PhD papers that are also published based on what they find, what archaeology finds. And archaeology goes well beyond just, sticks and stones, coins. We're talking about linguistic archaeology as well, so you got more to it than just that.
I always heard that, and I was put on a watch list in the Carnegie Museum because I was looking for the occult section, because that's where they keep a lot of books from history to put them off as a cult. And I was going downstairs, and they could be on the watch list to try to go downstairs one time.
Well,
And when I asked my professor about it, he said what he said.
You got to get permission, man. Like, it took me 7 years to get access into the Vatican Library. That's writing, and you got to write paper after paper after paper to get in there. Justifications. What's the reason for your research? What are you looking for? Why are you looking for that? What are you going to do with that information? Or is it going to be publicized? And then you only get access to whatever the one or two things that you get granted. If you're looking at something and then you want to look at something else, you can't do it. You got to start the process all over again. So you're on a watch list because you didn't do it in the way that they order you for, the way that it's orderly for them to do it. You have to do it in the way that someone who is studying for it, who is trying to get their PhD, or who is an archaeologist, or you're an author or historian, you have to follow the process in order to get to that information.
I'm very interested. I was very interested in a lot of things you talked about. I'm nowhere near as ready to, we're saying things that it sounds like I know what we're talking about. That's why I said I meet a lot of agnostics that are more in line with God. They don't know it, or nobody has probably told them that. But I think a lot of times, I'm not saying every single word you're saying, but there's a lot of things that you're saying, and it goes against the religious establishment that caused all this mess in the first place.
Okay. Now, I do want to go to what you said about the people following God's word, right?
Yeah.
So the people in the Americas, before any European came here and introduced the Bible, they already had laws in their society about stealing, about murder. They already had those laws. Your God never told them, never met them, never dealt with them. They already had that. They had other cultural laws based on their own belief in their own gods about how to treat the land and how to treat your native tribe, your other neighboring tribes. They were already living peacefully. Contention was brought to them when this Bible was brought to them. More contention. I ain't saying they weren't all peaceful over here. They had their own wars and stuff like that. They had their own crime. So what I'm saying is that civilization in itself will have certain rules in order for it to be a civilization, and there will be rule breakers, but the Bible is not necessary in order to have it.
You could say was not necessary, and we went around to see that. And now you Mel Gibson, I think, is not lying when he does his research. I think Mel Gibson got enough money to do proper research, and I'm not saying everything here in America was like that, but he showed you, and we read books about ritual sacrifices and sacrifices being done to gods, and tribes killing other tribes. And I'm not saying I wasn't just here. That was just here. I'm not saying the whole land was savage. We know the savages were the ones that came over and did what they did to the indigenous and the Indian. I know that because they perverted the word. And one of the things you had brought up was chattel. That wasn't chattel in the Bible.
Bro, have you read that thing?
That wasn't. Yes,
I mean,
wasn't chattel.
I wanted to talk about the whole Mel Gibson and the Americans and how Mel Gibson was biased as fuck and only picked one major tribe that most people are commonly know. And I was going to talk about how the ancient Israelites were doing human sacrifices as well. But black man to black man, I got to stop at chattel slavery. Leviticus 25:44-46 is chattel slavery of foreign nations.
No. You know what chattel slavery is? Yeah,
chattel slavery is owning one person as property and then being able to pass them down as inheritances. That's chattel slavery.
Right. Owning somebody their whole life, being able to punish them how you want, and owning their children. Yeah, that's in the Bible. No, that's not in the Bible. You can work your way out of slavery in the Bible. No, this is what they have. This is the misteachings of the Bible. There's a key ingredient there that shows a difference. When it talks about being able to work your way out of slavery in the Bible, that is Israelite to Israelite. And that is only Israelite man to Israelite man. So Leviticus 25 in verses like 34, yeah, that's it. You become a slave, a servant to the other master. You at the year of Jubilee, whether it's the 7th year or the 50th year, you're allowed freedom. You are not to be you're not to be treated harshly. If your master does put your eye out, you can't be kidnapped. That's all Israelite to Israelite. But Leviticus 45, Leviticus 25 and 44, that is how Israelites are to respond to other nations. They can buy them. They own them as property. They pass them down to their sons as inheritances, which means they own the slave for life. They can be treated harshly. Exodus, where it talks about beating your slave, and as long as they don't die of the result of the beating, that is of the foreign slave. It even specifies in Leviticus 25:46, 7 or 8, one of those, where it says you can treat the foreign slave harshly, but don't treat your fellow Israelite that way. For I brought them out of the land of Egypt, and so on and so forth. So the distinction, a lot of black ministers try to make the American chattel slavery different, say that they did it wrong because they were supposed to give you this freedom in 7 years. They try to move it into that part of verses 34 through 36. But really, the reality is that when the Europeans followed the Bible as far as slavery is concerned towards the African, they were following Leviticus 44 and 45, 25, 44, and 45, 44, 45, which is what the Bible says. So, yeah. It said Israelite to Israelite.
Yeah. It literally says to your fellow Israelites. Let me come on. Because one of the things that, and nothing against you, because when I was a Christian, I was taught the same thing that you were saying, and I was following that. Right? So like Leviticus 25, 34, 35 says, if any of your kin, that's your family, right? That's your people. That's your people. If any of your kin fall into difficulties and become dependent upon you, you shall support them, and they shall live with you as though resident aliens. Do not take interest in advance or otherwise make a profit from them, but fear your God. Let them live with you. You shall not lend them your money at interest rates taken in advance, or provide them food for a profit at a profit. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to giving you to the land of Canaan to be your God. If any who are dependent on you become so impoverished that they sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as slaves. They shall remain with you as hired or bound laborers. They shall serve you until the year of Jubilee. Then they and their children will go with them out of your authority, and they shall go back to their own land. See, this is your kin. This is your dependents. They're talking about your own folk, right? Now, when you get down to verse 44, it changes. As for your male and female slaves, whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also acquire them from the aliens residing with you and from the families who are with you, who have been born in your land. They may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. These you may treat as slaves. But as for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over the other with harshness. You see the difference?
Yeah, I do see a difference, but I don't see that described in the chat. The only part, but
Bruh.
punishing the slave.
Bruh,
how you
wait,
want that.
you say you don't see that as chattel?
No, yeah, part of chattel.
What does chattel slavery mean to you?
Something that you can punish your slave how you want, and
Oh.
you own your slave the rest of your life, and you own their children.
Okay, so chattel slavery is
It's
only.
it-
Let me give you the definition of chattel slavery. Chattel slavery is only the owning of a person and their children as property. Chattel slavery has nothing. Chattel slavery, the word chattel, has nothing to do with the punishment.
When you look it up, the punishment comes up.
That's because you're looking at it through an American lens. But the chattel is meaning to own a person as property. It has nothing to do with the treatment. But even in the treatment, you see it says,
I see that difference that you read.
Yeah.
In those passages.
and it also says that you may treat as slaves, but not your fellow Israelites. No one shall rule over them with harshness. So it's saying that your slaves are treated with harshness, but your fellow Israelites don't rule over them as slaves, because don't rule harshly over them. So when you read this, when you read verse 46, it's letting you know that slaves can be treated harshly. So even having that idea that chattel slavery also means that you can beat them, then the Bible supports that as well. Just in that verse alone, where it talks about the harshness of it, that slaves are treated harshly, rather, but your fellow Israelites you don't treat harshly.
I can see there being a difference. I mean, I would prefer there be a difference in the way you treat your brother and you treat another person. But I don't prefer that. I got to read it. I got to read it for myself. And a lot of things is how we interpret them. a
Well-
lot of things, like I've seen people go to the Bible to the same passages and interpret it different. And a lot of things is an interpretation as to what that means.
Yeah, and that's another one of the reasons why I walked away from the Bible.
Oh, you definitely tell
Word-
you know this.
Yeah, words seems to not mean what words mean when it comes to Christians of our day and in the past. They constantly change based on whatever the culture is of that day, right? So these words, the words that I read about Leviticus, they mean exactly what they mean. And when somebody tries to switch up that meaning, I'm like, nah, I can't deal with you, because owning the owning of another person is the owning of another person that's passing them down to your kids. It don't mean nothing else but that. And
I
then
can understand that, but it's you can still treat a person kindly and have rules.
you can. You certainly can. And it is not the first time you see in the Bible where it talks about a slave master not treating a slave, no matter what type of slave it is, harshly, is in the Gospels, is in Romans, rather. It's written, is according to what they claim Paul wrote, where you got the slave and the master, and the dude like, look, y'all are both Christians, so don't treat them harshly. They still slave though. You still own this joker. Paul wasn't saying don't own them, but he was just saying treat them better. Only because they were Christian though. Now
And that's why I'm saying the gospel is when it gets summed up, it's do unto others as you live. That's what they try to revise part of the Bible back to. And the Roman Catholic Church put that word over there.
and see, I hate
It revised, and it says, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And that's where it's at now.
see, I hate to be that guy to tell you, but when Jesus is recorded as saying, love your neighbor like, love your neighbor like yourself.
Yeah.
The word neighbor, the word used there that is translated for neighbor in first century, it did not mean the person who lived, other people.
It meant somebody of your clan.
That's it. That's
I know
it.
what you're saying.
It don't mean that I gotta love this joke over here. So if you was Christian,
Right.
you didn't have to love the Muslim. If you was Spanish from Spain, you don't have to love the French. It's your own group, your own people group. That's it.
Right. When Christ died, it opened that up to the Gentiles. That when he said the nigger thing got opened up to the Gentiles, that's why he came to get other people, not him. I come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Yep.
But the ones that he talked to, they are to go to the world. In Matthew 28, it told us to go out and make disciples of them. And so it opened up that love thy neighbor to the Gentiles.
Yeah, that's stepchildren. That's why he called that Canaanite woman a bitch.
Oh yeah, he was. And I know what you're saying about him. I'm trying to look for the words to say. I don't want to, but he was kind of tough. But I would have been scared to ask him questions.
I would have walked away from him. You calling this woman a
Yeah,
bitch?
I would have been scared. I would have been scared to ask him questions.
And then
I'm always simple.
And then you only heal this woman's child after the woman submits to you as a bitch. Nah, that's not somebody I want to follow. That's not somebody I want to emulate. Damn sure not somebody I'm gonna put up as somebody to be worshipped.
Now, okay, now this day and age,
Mhm.
looking at the climate, do you think people qualify as bitch?
No, I don't. I don't think anybody
Oh,
should be.
yeah. Right.
I don't think anybody. Now, look, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. You got You got to understand my morality. I don't believe in degrading people, even when the past me would have thought they deserved it. I try not to degrade people because, like you said, what I do follow, what I do is that at the core of my morality is treat people how I want to be treated. So I don't want to be degraded, so I'm not going to degrade other people. Even though I might look at their actions and be like, that bitch ass motherfucker.
How are you gonna change sides on us, man?
What do you
We
mean?
need somebody like you, man.
I'm not gonna see. I think there are ways to. Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you were saying something else, but I see what you're saying. I was gonna say I think there are ways to slap a person around without degrading them, but
Only us with the bad teachers and the good teachers, baby.
but I can see this is a problem that I have with religion and even spirituality. As many people who are walking away from the religion, like you say, and they're turning to, well, I'm just spiritual. I believe in Jesus, but I'm spiritual. I'm not a part of the church. I'm not a Christian. You know, they go that route. But they still have this thing that a person like me can't be beneficial to the community unless I believe what you believe. But the thing about it, primarily, I believe what you believe, that all people should be treated fairly, equally, treat people how you want to be treated. That's how I think everybody should be treated. I just don't give it to some deity or some ancient writings or some mythology. I don't give it to mythology. I give it to the fact that I was raised a certain way, but then I decided who I was going to be at a certain point. But then we can't work together because I don't believe in Jesus.
You know what I say all the time? We help big corporations. We don't believe nothing the same. And we still work side by side for years and help them accomplish what they got to accomplish.
Exactly.
We can't do it in community.
But in community, no. And it's not just, and I know what you're thinking, but it's not just black people. That's everybody.
No, that's everybody.
That's everybody. Everybody wants you.
That's everybody.
But it's only, and it's only people in religions. It's only people who believe in gods and goddesses. Them the only ones who do that. I done had brothers who are doing some good things. I wanted to get involved with them, and they like, nah, because we believe that, you know, that all the ancient Egypt shit. Now because we the Purple Power Rangers with our little BHI outfits on. Because not all of them are bad. I've had people tell me I couldn't work with them simply because I didn't practice their religious belief in any form or fashion. Of every race.
I would have enjoyed it. I slowly kept picking at you and trying to get you back. I wouldn't have pushed your way. I know a man like yours can help with you.
Yeah, that would have pushed me away.
I know a man like you.
See, that would have pushed me away. The moment you try to move me to your side religiously, spiritually.
I wouldn't have did it right off. I developed a certain skill. What did Liam Neeson say? I acquired a certain skill.
That's not look. If I was in that movie and I was the other side, Liam Neeson would have got killed because I cannot be moved. I cannot be moved. The data that would, because even if a being just appeared right here next to me right now, right, just chilling, appeared next to me, my first thought is not going to be some god. I'm thinking, my first thought is, what's in this cigar? Then my second thought is, and this is just because of my hope, what alien planet you came from, and can I please go because these fucking humans get on my nerves? I am more apt to think it's an alien before I think it's a god. Because I'd rather go and get off Earth than to be here on this planet. Because humans are sick. Humans are viruses. Because we can't even be a benefit for one another 99% of the time. Let me put it like, we can't be a benefit to one another on the macro scale. The micro scale we can, but on the macro scale, we can't be a benefit unless there's a profit that comes out of it. We got to get something for it. Only on the micro can we do stuff for one another without there being something that's in it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly.
So human society. So let me just say, let me not say human society is a virus. So I'm more apt to think it's an alien, and I'm ready to go. Come on, man. If you're gonna destroy the earth, destroy the earth. But let me go with y'all.
My belief system is like, well, they use the term alien, and my belief system is they talk about something coming from out of the sky and landed in Jerusalem, and I think this is my belief. I think we're seeing things of what we call one thing, and it's another. It's an alien, and I think it's another thing. I believe that. I believe that it's a spiritual thing we're seeing, and we're calling it ET. I believe that.
Yeah,
I don't believe they fly around with wings. I believe they fly around in ships. I believe that.
Yeah, I don't know what they were saying. I don't do the ancient alien thing.
Yeah, I do, bro. Imagine at 24, how can you follow a star? You can go in the direction of a star. You know what I mean? You can go in the direction of a star, but it's still going to be off in the distance. And it stopped over the house
and hovered. Yeah, I don't think it was an alien ship. I think I think they were just being hyperbolic for a motif that is already popularized. Because for ancient people, when they would see a comet, when there would be an eclipse, any type of astronomical thing happen, it signified something was happening, right? Something great, either a new king is being born. Like I think there was supposed to be a comet in the sky when Alexander was being born. So that was the identifier that he was going to be a great Greek king. So all these stories prior to the writing of Matthew had these symbols, these motifs of some lights and heavenly bodies doing something special. And the writer of Matthew was just adding that to it. I don't think there were three, or well, more than three. I don't think that there was any magi and that they came to Herod and then they went down to the Bethlehem. I think he was just using a popular motif to write the narrative. That there was nothing happening. And it definitely was nothing happening because there would be, if Herod had committed infanticide and killed all those kids, then that would have been written. Philo of Alexandria definitely would have written about that because he wrote about all the other bullshit things that Herod did, but he seemingly skips him killing a whole bunch of 2-year-olds and below because he was afraid of a Messiah. Philo wouldn't have skipped that. Seneca wouldn't have skipped it. Josephus wouldn't have skipped it. So I think the writer of Matthew just made that shit up, which is another reason why I think Matthew was written probably late 1st century, early 2nd century.
Wow.
He might even been written mid 2nd century.
I'm gonna stick with what I said, bro. When I give them the tenements of the gospel, they come off to the streets, and I believe the Spirit gave me help thinking of things to do with them, and that's why I came up with the trade program, a building trade, and we give them the gospel, and we don't even tell them it's the Bible. We talk to them in simplistic form. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, don't be wanting other people's stuff, don't be going after other people's wives, you know what I mean? And we talk to it, we don't say, thus thou didst, but the 10, we get that in their minds and in their hearts. Like, man, you can't be trying to kill, you can't be stealing people's stuff, you can't be wanting to sleep with other people's wives, you can't be envying people for what they got. And when I give them that, the ones that take it in a little bit, their lives change and they come off the streets. The main thing with me is getting these young youths off the streets. Now, if you got a replacement theology, tell it to me now and I'll start looking it up. But if you got something that I can give to them that's older, now it don't have to be older than the Bible, but usually I see the Bible in a lot of these self-help books that's thousands of years younger than the Bible. But the about 48 laws of power, Psalms and Proverbs, and different parts of Galatians. You know what I mean? And they call it 48 laws of power.
Yeah.
So
it's a great book.
Parts of the Bible, you need to say, man, they just took things, excerpts from the Bible and made these self-help books. And I don't see nothing wrong with that, but it's nothing new under the sun. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But if there's a replacement theology, like when y'all say this, what's your replacement theology that you're handing out?
Well, I don't hand out a theology at all. So because I don't need to. Would I hand out morality? Sure. But in the
Yes.
but I can't. Here's the thing. The same way you just said that about these self-help books and whatnot, I can say the same thing about the Bible. Because the Code of Hammurabi was around before any of the laws of the Bible were written. The 42 Confessions of Ma'at out of Egypt was around well before any Bible stories, any Bible was written. And I'm talking about Old Testament too, right? These are all things that was around before the Old Testament was written. And before it was even oral tradition, those teachings were already around. So I can say, well, why do I need to give them the Bible when I can give them the 42 Confessions of Ma'at?
Well, my opinion is give them that. Because there was a time, see, I believe in the Bible. And there was a time when Jesus and them was out, and there was other guys and handing out and talking to people and bringing them to God. He said, should we stop them? He said, if they're not against us, they're for us. And I believe that applies to things like that. If it's not against righteousness and the code of morality, give it to them.
Right. That's why I say I don't need the Bible, because I can give you the Tao, which is older than the Bible, the writings of the Buddhist writings, which is older than the Bible, and everything that is the good morals that are in the Bible, you can get from those books without some of the bullshit that's in the Bible.
Definitely Buddhism. And Buddha even said, this is not to replace your religion, it's to do along with your religion. You know what I mean? Buddha even said that. You know what I mean? I definitely believe that, bro. So I think religion is the problem. So when I hear a lot of brothers that's agnostic speak, I sit and listen to them, because I'm not going to say that I haven't worked with plenty of young guys that came past there. They had a heart for community, man. And when they was working kids, they worked wonderful with those kids. And we be doing revitalization.
You break it up. You break it up.
They go around.
Dizzy, you breaking up.
Yes. Oh, you hear me now?
Nope. You was breaking up.
You hear me now?
No, you're still breaking up. But I would like you to contemplate this.
All right.
I have been to other countries where I've seen programs similar to yours, but they utilize different religions and they get people off the street same way. I don't see the need for the religious part, because you can get people off the street just by using a good basic morality that follows the law of whatever the land that they're living in. And there are certain core things that every country, in order to survive, it has to have those laws. But Dizzy, I'm gonna go to some.
Bro.
Okay, there you go.
I'm gonna go down. Go ahead and get somebody else up here, bro.
All right, but it's good talking to you.
Talking to you, bro.
I enjoyed talking to you too.
Definitely.
Have a good one.
Definitely. Thank you, bro.
Thank
you too.
Okay, so I had two jacked up conversations. Then I've had two good conversations. Let's see if we can keep going with the good conversations. And I saw somebody took next time, you goddamn right. Ant pissed me off. Even though me and Ant probably agree on a lot of stuff, he pissed me off coming up here. Just saying dumb shit. All right. I had a bunch of people in the queue. Oh, I never put it up for YouTube and TikTok, Facebook. Sorry. I envy. I envy. I envy. It can't hear you if you're talking, IMV. Make time say you got my back. IMV, are you there? IMV, are you there? I don't think IMV is here. IMV Creation. I think that's that. I think I've talked to her before, but I don't think she's there. So the queue is now open for anybody who want to come up and prove that Jesus existed. Because according to most information, there ain't no proof that a Jesus was walking around doing any damn thing. Not one blessed thing. Interesting point. I don't know how this fits in, but I'm gonna make it fit in. I'm gonna see if it fits in. I was listening to a podcast as I was getting myself together this morning, and one of the things that was mentioned in the podcast was the fact that, and I had completely forgot about this, and so I might not get it as clear as I want to. But the Gospel of Luke compared to the Gospel of Marcion, Marcion gets the order of Jesus going to Capernaum, doing some miracles, then going home. And then Jesus telling the people, oh, y'all want me to do some miracles like I did in Capernaum. Whereas the Gospel of Luke, the Gospel of Luke has Jesus at home telling the people, oh, y'all want me to do miracles like I did in Capernaum. And then he goes to Capernaum. So the Gospel of Luke gets it out of order. And because of that, there is the thought process, there's the evidence that Luke copied Marcion, not Marcion copying Luke, which then would mean the Gospel of Luke wasn't written until mid-2nd century and not 1st century like they try to say. Just go research that. I think it's Michelle. No, Michael Maxwell. Michael Maxwell, you got some very low TV preaching going on in the background. Michael Maxwell, are you there? Nobody can hear whatever. If your goal was to get people to hear whatever preaching is going on in the background, no one can hear it. Not one person can hear it. That was a sad attempt, Michael Maxwell. That was incredibly sad. I can't believe you even tried that. So what Michael Maxwell tried to do was to come on here and then have some preaching going on in the background about Jesus. But it didn't work. Wait a minute. How to joke. Thanks for the lightning bolts. All right, we got over here on Facebook or YouTube, I don't know which one is on, Fighting Atheists.
Hi, Coach. Hey.
Oh, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm obviously an atheist. I don't believe that Jesus was God, but I was wondering something. You seem not to believe that he existed at all. How did he become so popular if he didn't exist at all? Like the other ones, Mithras and Dionysus and all of them, they're not popular anymore, but Jesus is. How did he become so popular if he didn't exist? I think he was at least had to be a historical human like Buddha or Gandhi or somebody.
Was you just mentioned people like Mithra and Dionysus?
Yeah.
Were they hugely popular at one point?
Definitely, Coach.
Did they ever exist?
No, sir.
So the same thing. If you tell a story loud enough, long enough, and then have the government support your story get popularized.
So that's how he did it.
Yeah, I mean, if Christianity, which becomes the religion of the Roman Empire, and the Roman Empire was in control of the majority of the Mediterranean, then yeah. And then And then the European nations splintered out of that, and then the European nations colonized half the world. So the story gets popularized through government.
That's how he did it.
Yeah. You don't have to be real to become popular.
No.
Do you know that about 6-7 months ago, the number one R&B artist in the world was AI, was an AI artist.
Really? What? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So you don't have to be real to be popular. And in those days, those ancient days, Zeus was incredibly popular. Jupiter was incredibly popular. Other than being a planet Jupiter, you ain't got to be real.
No.
Can you repeat that again? That government, sorry, somebody asked if I can repeat that again. So government intervention, the growth of Christianity comes about through government intervention. The moment Theodosius in 381 decided that the entire Roman Empire was going to be Christian, with government backing, now Christianity becomes the largest religion in the only religion in the Roman Empire. And then they forced that. And then when the European nations break off from the Roman Empire, they kept Christianity because they have been Christians for centuries now. And so when colonization starts, they go out and they force Christianity on the native people. So Christianity becomes the most popular religion based on a cult that came out of another religion.
That's what it is. I think it's a cult too. I have a question. How come you never join other atheists in their live streams like they do on The Line or on the Atheist Experience?
Well, I haven't been on the Atheist Experience yet, but I've been on, they have another one called Talk Heathen.
Yeah, I see that all the time.
So I've done Talk Heathen 2 or 3 times. I've been on that. I can't tell you right now, but I posted and marketed for like 2 weeks when I was going to be on Talk Heathen. But yeah, I've been on Talk Heathen a couple of times, and they had another show. I forgot the name of the other show. I've been on that one. I would imagine the next show that I'll be on for them is the Atheist Experience, because the way they do it is that you start out on the show that I can't remember the name of. You do that show. If that show goes well, then they put you on Talk Heathen. So I've been on Talk Heathen now twice, and if they like the way you did it on Talk Heathen, then they put you on the Atheist Experience. So either I'll do Talk Heathen again or I'll do the Atheist Experience. Now, as far as when I see other people on TikTok and they're doing their lives and they got 9-10 people up there, I ain't got time for all that, because people got to talk all over each other and it's too much yelling and stupid shit. Well, it ain't stupid. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
It's not my format to be up there and have 7-8 people talking at the same time.
Do you know who Matt Dillahunty is?
Who?
Matt Dillahunty.
Yeah.
Former Atheist Experience guy. He was the reason I became an atheist. One of the 2 reasons I became an atheist in the first place. He talked me out of believing in hell.
Well, it's good that you got talked out of believing in hell, but hell, because it don't exist.
Yeah, I was about to run back to Judaism because I thought I was going to go to hell if I died while I was an atheist, and he told me that it was just a grave back in the Old Testament, not like a fire, and I just stopped believing in it. Now I'm not even afraid to die no more.
And that's a good thing.
I'm not going anywhere.
That's a good thing. Yeah, Matt Dillahunty is good. I like him.
I do too.
But
hey, that guy earlier was talking about Akhenaten. He was a historical figure, but there's another Jesus type guy. Have you ever? That was historical. Have you ever heard of Ptolemy Soter?
Yeah, Ptolemy Soter. That's where we get Serapis.
Yep, I was just about to tell you that.
Yeah, and it could have. And if we would have continued the conversation in that conversation, I was thinking about the fact that they could have easily have utilized the ideas of Serapis as part of the Jesus narrative, because Serapis fits the Jesus narrative as well. So does the Emperor Vespasian. So the fact that he was putting everything on Akhenaten, it demonstrates I'm a black man and I want everything to be out of Egypt. And I knew that's where he was going. And that's why the conversation ended when he started with the whole America is Egypt shit. America is Israel and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they got the look of Jesus from, I think, from Serapis. Everything except for the cup. On
Well,
top of his
for a
head.
while it was Serapis. For a while it was Serapis, then it was Zeus, and then it became Caesarea Borgia.
Really? I never heard of the third one. Who is he? Was he real?
The most famous picture you got of Jesus right now is Caesarea Borgia.
Oh, was
It
he?
was one of the Pope's son. I think it was Pope Leo X's son.
Oh, so he did exist.
Who, Caesarea Borgia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a son of a Pope.
Okay. Well, that's all I wanted to know for today. Thank you very, very much, Coach, for bringing me on.
No problem. Have a good one, man. Put this back. Did Paul exist? Nope. Paul never existed either. Paul is probably Marcion or a Marcionite or an agent of Rome. But Paul never existed. We have no proof of Paul's existence. And if you read what is it? Damn, I forgot the name of the story. Paul seems like a literary character that is following a character that you find in the story of Dionysus. And I can't remember the name of the damn story. That was about 300 years older. Euripides, I think, something like that. I'll remember in a minute. I had somebody up here, but he went away. Oh, he must have accidentally came up. That happens. So what is a Greek story? What is the Greek story from? It was 300. It was written like in 200 BCE. And it was just as popular, kind of like how Shakespearean story Othello is still incredibly popular today, even though it's hundreds of years old. But if you read that story, it sounds like the Paulinian story. It sounds a lot like Paul. How Paul came about. No, not Dionysus and the pirates. The Bacchae. Thank you, Kevin. The Bacchae. I said Euripides. I got that. I was way off. Yes. So if you were to go and read the Bacchae, you're going to have this story where there's this king who's persecuting the people who are followers of Dionysus, and then Dionysus showed up, but he showed up like as a beggar or some shit like that. And then he was like, they had this whole big conversation, and then he's like, bam, I'm Dionysus, and why are you persecuting my people? And then the king's like, oh, I'm so sorry, Dionysus. I should not have. I'm a convert. And then he converts over and becomes a great leader of the Dionysus cult. So, yeah, read the Bacchae. Paul sounds like the Bacchae. Capone.
What's up?
How you doing? Are you over 21?
Yeah.
All right. Are you a believer in Jesus?
Yeah, in the Bible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So my stance is that Jesus of the Bible never existed.
Give me a second.
Yeah, because eating, this is just a personal thing for me.
Best night off of what? Well, I already reached that conclusion.
Okay. I need you to do me a favor. I don't know if you're on your lunch or what the situation is, but a personal thing for me is mouth noises. I can't.
Oh, my bad.
Can't do mouth noises. Yeah. Okay, so just based on the evidence that we do have of everything outside the Bible, there's absolutely nothing that would lead me to believe that the Jesus of the Bible ever existed. And based on the information in the Bible, I would have to say that the Jesus of the Bible is a literary tale. So, like, there is absolutely no one in the first century who attributes, no historian in the first century writes about Jesus. Philo of Alexandria, who was an immense writer of everything going on in Judaism, in Judea at that time frame, never mentions Jesus, talks about everything else that was surrounding, talked about Pontius Pilate, talked about Herod, he talked about all these other things going on in Judea, never mentioned Jesus. Suetonius never mentioned, not Suetonius, Seneca never mentions Jesus. When we have later writings, Suetonius and Tacitus and Pliny the Younger, these Roman authors are not talking about Jesus. They're talking about people who believed in a dude named Crestius. And if you look at Tacitus' writings, you can see where they erased the E and made it into an I, so they say Christ and where Christus and Christians. And
that's speculative at the best.
oh
bro.
no, that's not that.
Christus is so even if it is an I or whatever, that's not a you know what I'm saying? That's not a
Hold
that's
on.
not a, because the vowels, certain vowel sounds is a bit ambiguous.
Have you ever read Tacitus' writing on that people claim is
Sure.
Christian reading?
Yeah.
So you've seen,
Annals of Rome.
so you looked it up. So you see,
Yeah, 44.
so you see where they erased the E to make it an I.
No, so the E and the I, that's what I'm saying. The E and the I is still saying Christus.
No, because there's a huge difference. When you change that, so when it's an E and it's Crestius, Crestius was a name that's given to someone who's a slave or someone who's poor, and also could be to someone who's just a decent person. Christus means an anointed person. So there was two distinctly different meanings just by changing one letter.
Well, this is a etymological fallacy here, right? Because for one, they didn't use an E or I. It's in Greek. Tacitus probably wrote it in Latin or something. Well, no, it's not in English.
Of course, it's not in English.
Okay.
That makes no sense. So when what language was it written in?
Well, Tacitus was a Roman, so they would either write in Greco-Roman, in Greek, or in part Latin. No, I'm unsure.
So
Matter of fact, no, it's in Latin. It's in Latin. I got a copy there.
okay, so what you have, Tacitus most likely wrote in Latin or coined in Greek. He could have written in either one. We don't really know. And the reason why we don't really know is because we don't have the original writing of Tacitus. What we do have is a 5th century writing. We have a 5th century copy. That 5th century copy is the copy where they erase the E. You can look at it and see, and there's not one scholar that doesn't deny that they erased the E to make it into an I. And in the margin, the scribal notes, they wrote Christian where it says Christians. So the idea of that being equivalency was a scribal lettering, not something that Tacitus actually wrote. And what we do know is that the title Crestius, the word Crestius, is a word that had been in use since the 1st century BCE, which is at least 100 years before any Jesus character would have ever came about.
So the word, so if you understand the cultural continuity, right? The Egyptians had a word for someone there. It was the transliteration is K-R-S-E. I mean S-T. I mean what is it? K-R-S-T.
Oh,
yeah.
are you talking about Egyptians?
Yeah.
What Egyptians got to do with what we talking about?
I'm explaining to you what the word Christos or Christos comes from. So what happens is,
Bro,
in the ancient Near East, you have phonetic shifts. So you have this word Christos, which means to bear, right? And then you have the Greeks who learned from the Egyptians, well documented. So they have their language, and it becomes Christos, because it's Chris, but because it's referring to a male, they put the us or the os or us at the end to determine that it's masculine. So now you get Christos. Now this crest. Now what you're trying to say is that it's not a different. The E and the I is synonymous in ancient literature. The vowel sounds is interchangeable. Well, not synonymous. They're interchangeable.
My guy.
Even
My guy. My guy.
Word like somebody's name with an E, or you can interchange it with an I. You're still gonna get the same vocalization.
I don't. You're missing the point. It doesn't matter about the vocalization. What I'm talking about is the definition. The definition of Crestius from 1 BCE, forward, means a slave, a poor person, or a good person. That's it. That's what Crestius, and Crestius was identified in the writings of Tacitus. He identified Crestius as a person. They were the followers of this man named Crestius. So he's talking about a man that they call Crestius, whose meaning has nothing to do with Christos or Christus. It is 5th century that they changed the E to an I. We're talking definition.
No. So, well, even if they did change the E to the I, as you say, you have phonetic shifts. I'm trying to explain that to you.
It doesn't matter about a phonetic shift to the 5th century. It matters what Tacitus wrote in the 2nd century.
Hold on, brother. If a word go through a phonetic shift, it goes from one letter to another letter, and it becomes common. That's how it will be written down. So if it was written down with a I, or we don't know the vowel sound that it was written in. So if it was written with an I, an E, whatever, that's not an issue. Now, let's get to this.
Bruh, no, hell no. We're not going to get to nothing because you don't understand. No, we're going to stick to the point where you at.
I wanted to ask you, so this Christus guy, do any other Roman or anybody else mention him? Or even the event that Tacitus is talking about? Is this just specific to Tacitus?
The word Crestus was used. No, Suetonius used Crestius too. But so yeah, other people use the word Crestius, and then Suetonius don't refer to a people, a cult religion that was in Rome, and they both agree.
They don't sound like the Christians to you.
No, there were many cults in Rome.
So when you read the New Testament or the Gospels, right, in epistles, or even in history, when we discover that the Christian movement started out very small and then it expanded, right? That wouldn't be a cult to the Jewish population that's in Rome, to the Romans.
Yeah, and there was another one that were followers of Apollonius of Tyana, who came out of Turkey and influenced people in Judea, in Egypt, and all over the Roman Empire, and was a cult as well.
Right. So the Christian word, when the apostles was called that, they was that was used as derogatory.
Are you just repeating statements made by apologists? Because I don't think you understand what you're saying.
No, the definition.
No, sir. See, we now went away from the prime point here.
I'm telling you that they was called Christian by other people.
Yeah, Crestius.
The name that they themselves.
That doesn't matter. Crestius was a title, a name that was given to people 100 years before Jesus' story was ever told. At least 100 years before the Jesus story is ever told. And when Tacitus and Suetonius wrote about Crestius, they were not talking about the Christians. It is not until the 5th century that the words that they change it to mean Christians. So Tacitus is not talking about the Christians that were in the 1st century. He's talking about a different cult.
Okay, so what about Irenaeus.
Irenaeus, what about him?
When he discussed the martyrs of the early Christians.
Yeah, there's no proof. That's the martyrdom of early Christians is basically him telling a story in the mid second century.
Yeah, but he used the word Christians to talk about the early church.
Okay, so now we're talking 50.
It's not 5th century. That's
So-
the point that I'm
So
making.
now we're talking 50, 60 years after Tacitus and Suetonius writes, right? 40 to 60
No,
years.
They say they're contemporary. Irenaeus is writing in the 2nd century along with Tacitus.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he is.
When did Tacitus die?
Tacitus he wrote in the 2nd century.
When did he?
So
That doesn't mean that he lived through the whole damn 2nd century.
No, but we are talking about 100 to 200.
Okay,
between
sir.
100 AD.
Sir, Tacitus died, I believe, around 119, 120. Irenaeus wasn't born until 130. They are not writing at the same time.
I said they're writing in the same century.
That don't mean nothing. But they're not writing at the same time. How old are you?
It's close enough, though.
How old are
That's
you?
what I'm saying. So Tacitus died in.
How many things have changed in the last 50 years?
That's not the case, though.
That is the case. That is the case.
On ancient, on archaic empires.
You saying that things don't change in ancient times in 50 years?
No, things evolve. Yes, things definitely evolve and change. Yes.
Okay, so if things change, so we got Irenaeus who was writing at a different time, late in the mid to late in the 2nd century. We got Tacitus writing in the early 1st century. Tacitus is not talking about Christians; he's talking about Christians. Irenaeus is writing about Christians, and then later on, they merged Tacitus writings with Christian writings to try to. No, that's factually proven.
No, you're making an etymological error, fallacy.
No,
Because
what's the etymological fallacy mean? What does that mean?
So
What does that mean?
it means when you take the word, the etymological word, and try to put it in a different context than what it was originally in. Or
That's what you're doing, sir. What does etymology mean? What does etymology mean?
That's what you're doing. You're saying that because you're not going to linguistics. You're saying because they changed the I to an E, you think they did that to make to make a prominence of their religion or code or whatever. That's not the point.
That is the point.
Linguistically, go through changes grammatically. So them writing that I in the 1st century and mean the E in the 1st century and then changing it to an I. If you understand how the I and the E, how it developed its distinction, then you will understand the ancient culture way. For one, the Greek don't have an I. The Greek has an iota. And when they started writing, you gotta. What I'm saying is.
Sir, no, stop. Because you're making the same argument over and over again without even understanding the situation. If a word has if in 116, when Tacitus was writing and he wrote the word Crestius, and Crestius has a meaning, a definition at that time frame. Just because it changes to an I by 5th century does not change what the definition of Crestius in the 1st century. You have now changed the meaning in the 5th century.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
What does the word awful mean?
Something bad. That's but no,
something bad. Does something? No, because you're not understanding. You got problems understanding. What does the word awful? You just said it means something bad. In the 16th century, in the 17th century, and through the 18th century, the word awful meant full of awe of something good, like you was amazed at something.
Yes, and stop to be astonished.
But
that's what awful.
But you just said it means something bad.
No, but that's you using
that. No, that look. That is an.
It's a fallacy, bro.
That is an etymological change in a word. When a word starts out meaning something, you have a word, it means one thing, but then it changes to a different meaning based on the different culture later on. That is changing. That's what changing that word means. But we can't. But if somebody wrote about something being awful in the 1600s, their meaning of that thing that they're talking about doesn't make that thing in the 1600s bad. It makes it what it meant in the 1600s. So when Tacitus wrote about Crestius in the 2nd century, he meant what it meant in the 2nd century, not what it came later to mean.
But what's the college writing in the 2nd century too? That's what I'm saying.
And he uses a different word.
Well, he doesn't.
He does not. Irenaeus never used the word Crestius. Are you saying that Irenaeus used the word Crestius?
Listen, the word it becomes Crestius because Tacitus is writing in Latin. Irenaeus not writing Greek.
I can't. I just can't. Basic understanding, people. It's basic understanding. Tacitus died in 120. Thank you for looking that up, Glenn. Tacitus died in 120. Irenaeus wasn't born to 130. Tacitus wrote about Crestians. It meant a different group that had already been in existence from 1 BCE. A name, a title already in existence from 1 BCE. You can't then, because Crestius, and then when Irenaeus is writing and he uses Christos has a different damn meaning than Crestius. And then just because in the 5th century, they change Tacitus' writings to say Crestius, doesn't mean Tacitus was fucking writing about the same thing that Irenaeus was writing about. Oh my damn. Oh my God. Look, I say this thing anytime somebody does a super chat, then I'm going to read their super chat. So Luke D. Said that, and thank you for the $4.99 gift, Luke D. There is more tangible evidence of Jesus' existence and resurrection than Julius Caesar's existence. What is bro on about? Stop listening to buzzwords on social media. There is not one historian walking around who would say that there's more tangible evidence of Jesus than there is tangible evidence of Julius Caesar. We got coins with Julius Caesar face on. We got busts that were made during the time frame of Julius Caesar. We got so many other tangible evidence of Julius Caesar, and of Jesus we have zero tangible evidence. We got belief documentations, i.e. your Bible. We don't have any stones, any busts, any portraits, any nothing that's tangible of Jesus or the resurrection. They don't know where the resurrection happened. You go to Israel, go to Jerusalem, been there a couple times. You can either go to the garden that they claim his tomb is over there, which is an Iron Age garden, which Iron Age tomb, which would be his, or you can go in the one that's in the Church of the Sepulchre, which is not either. It is not his either. You got two different places that you're gonna go there and get your feels. Oh, this is where Jesus was laid to rest and he resurrected. You're gonna get all emotional about it, but no, There's zero tangible evidence of Jesus being real, but we have tangible evidence of Julius Caesar. Thank you for your $4.99 donation to the channel. I greatly appreciate that. Oh my damn. The freaking hilarity that people are willing to espouse out of their mouth about this stuff. Holy? Am I saying that? Holly? I'm sorry. I don't have my reading glasses on. Forgive me. Holly, are you over 21?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you a believer in Jesus?
I am.
Okay. So what will be your
So
proof that Jesus existed?
so I don't have proof.
Okay.
I have faith. There's a difference between proof and faith.
Right. Faith is not having evidence, and people have faith in a whole bunch of different gods. Currently, about 4,200 of them.
Like, can I see your necklace? The upside down hand?
Yeah.
What religion is that?
Well, it's been a part of Christianity. It's been a part of Islam. It's been a part of Jainism. It's part of Hinduism. Been a part of Buddhism. It's been a part of ancient Sumerian and ancient Akkadian, as well as ancient Canaanite. It's been a part of multiple religions.
Can you explain what it is?
So it is for pretty much most religions, it had the same meaning. Protect you from evil thoughts or evil beings. And yeah, protect you from evil thoughts, evil being has been the constant. In ancient Christianity, it was also, well, in medieval Christianity, it also was a fertility for women and to prevent crib death. And then in ancient Babylonian, it was, now was that Babylonian or Sumerian? No, it's Babylonian. Ancient Babylonian, to protect you from the Lelutu, which was a desert demon goddess who would lure men and children out into the desert.
Yeah. So why are you up here talking about Jesus Christ?
Oh, for me, this is just a nice piece of jewelry. That's all it means. It's just jewelry to me.
That's all it means.
I like the way it looked when I saw it in Daytona. I said, "Oh, that's cool," and I bought it. It has no meaning for me.
Why wear it? It's just
because it's jewelry. I like necklaces, just like I like this necklace, just like I like these, just like I like these. I like jewelry.
gotcha.
That's like asking you, why do you wear a shirt?
Maybe I don't. You don't know.
Well, depending upon what country you're in, I think if you walk around shirtless, you might go to jail.
All right. So your prompt says, "Did the Jesus of the Bible exist?"
Mm-hmm. But you said you don't have any proof. It's just faith.
What's that?
You say you don't have proof. You just have faith.
I have some thing that can help with what you like to call proof. I have faith. My faith is more strong than the. I don't need that faith. Like, I can tell that you're. Am I right or am I wrong? Are you an atheist?
Am I what?
Are you the atheist? Or
For right now, yeah, I would say that I am. I don't see enough evidence for any God.
okay.
So your faith,
Why do you need evidence though?
because I have a tendency to believe things that I can prove. I don't just believe stuff because somebody says so. And then when I research religions, especially Christianity, I find that most of the information there goes in straight contradiction to actual history that we know. And why is your faith better than a Hindu's faith? What makes yours stronger or real?
No. Well, my faith is true.
How can you say that your faith is true? A Hindu can say their faith is true.
It's a feeling. You just know.
You did
I'm
what?
not gonna bash.
Wait, you did what?
So I'm not gonna bash any other person.
Wait,
for what they
did you say that you did healings?
No,
Oh, I thought you said you did healings. Oh, my apologies.
no. I said my faith is true.
Okay, why? What makes your faith true?
I feel it. I can't.
I feel that my atheism is true.
I know you do. I know. And,
So feelings don't matter.
so we're in a disagreement. You and I right here.
Right. So
You know?
your feelings don't mean anything other than what it means to you.
That's why we need to cut our feelings out.
But your faith is based on your feelings. You just said that your faith is true because of how you feel. And now you're saying you need to cut your feelings out. You can't do both.
Well, the huge issue is feeling sorry for yourself.
Uh, Wait a minute. I didn't hear you. It was like some noise in the background. Say it again.
So the huge issue that people have
Uh-huh.
is it's feeling sorry for yourself. If you cut that out, sorry.
How does feeling? Who said you cut out feeling sorry for yourself? I don't understand where you're going there.
What I'm trying to say is stop feeling bad for yourself. Stop victimizing yourself. Start searching through the scriptures.
Who said?
And you will
Are
not.
you saying that about me?
Faith in general.
You saying that about me?
No, in general.
Why do you figure that in general people don't believe because they're feeling sorry for themselves and feeling like victims? Where do you?
Because I know.
No, you don't know. What do you have that is very arrogant of you to say that.
It's not arrogant.
No, it is. The overwhelming majority of people that I have ever met that have deconstructed from Christianity were not feeling sorry for themselves and did not feel like victims. They actually read and studied the Bible. The hundreds of pastors that I know of and deacons and elders who walked away from the church, and a deacon like myself was not because I felt sorry for myself. It was because I wanted to know the truth. And so I studied and I walked away from the Bible. And many of those that I know of walked away from it who studied. And there are some who now feel trapped because they economically they cannot walk away from the church because that's how they've made their money for the last 40 years. So they can't walk away because there would be financial stress on their families. So this whole idea of victimhood and church hurt is a jargon that the church has drummed up in order to try to describe people who thought and used critical thinking to walk away from the church. That's arrogant to think that you know why people left.
I tell you what, but if you can convince me that God is not real and that Jesus Christ is not real, I'll tell everybody that you did a damn good job.
Okay, so first thing, that is not my purpose. If you are a good person and you following Jesus, keep being a good person. But according to the Bible, in the book of Matthew, Jesus was supposedly born during the reign of Herod. Would you agree?
Here I am.
You say yes or no?
Sure.
Okay, so the book of Matthew says that he was born during the reign of Herod. Herod died no later than 4 BCE. According to the book of Luke, who says that I am doing this orderly and correct version of the things that happened, Luke says that Jesus was born during the time frame where Quirinius was governor of Syria and a census was done in Judea. That didn't happen till 6 CE. Is it possible for Jesus to have been born 10 years apart twice.
Can I ask you a question?
I would rather you answer the question.
What does CE stand for?
Oh, CE means common era. AD. So to make it easy, AD. So 6 AD,
After death?
which that is a huge mistake in use. It doesn't mean after death,
Why is that a mistake though?
because it doesn't mean after death. It means Anno Domini, which means year of our Lord. So it's not, they didn't start counting when the Gregorian calendar inserted this in the 1600s, I believe. It did not mean they started counting from the time Jesus died. They started counting from the time that they thought that Jesus was born, which they were still wrong in their calculations. So it means in the year of our Lord, because back in the day, they did calendars based on the reign of a certain person.
I feel like you're just making a bunch of stuff up.
No, you can easily.
I honestly feel like you're just
Uh,
tripping.
No,
up.
you can go look it up, that you had that AD doesn't mean after death. That was a popular thing in America.
You gotta look at the translation.
It means Anno Domini, which the translation is in the year of our Lord. That's what it means, in the year of our Lord. So have you ever read something ancient and they said that, okay, no, in your Bible, in First or Second Kings, Solomon says that, it says in the 4th year of Solomon's reign, that was 480 years, I think, from the time of the Exodus. They don't give a year like we do years. They calculate the time in the Bible is calculated based on them saying the 4th year of the reign of Solomon. So that's how ancient people did time. We didn't change into our framework of time until the Gregorian calendar. And they estimated the year of Jesus' birth, and they said this is 1. And then they counted from that 1 to get to whatever year we are now today. But that 1 left it didn't have the year 0, because they didn't have a concept, because the first person who actually did it in 500 didn't have a concept of the 0. Mathematically, they didn't have a concept of 0 yet. And I think it was a Christian, he was like a bishop or something like that. He wasn't a bishop, he was a Christian monk, actually, who was the first person to come up with it, but it wasn't instituted until 400 years later. Well, about 1,000 years, almost 1,000 years later. So they didn't count like we count today. So that's why Anno Domini means year of our Lord, because they're trying to count the year of Jesus from his birth. But when you look at, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So how far did you dive into translation? You know, like say you have a KJV Bible in front of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see a word, maybe 2. How far did you actually go back, open the book of Aramaic, the Hebrew, the Greek?
Well, I stopped looking at the King James Bible about 15 years ago, because in my research of the King James Bible, I saw that it was a translation from the Bishop's Bible. And then I looked at how the Bishop Bible was basically comes down to a translation from the Geneva and the Tinsdale Bible. And then
Hold on. You don't like the Geneva?
No.
Why?
Because the Geneva Bible, that one was a bad translation from the German Bible and a mixture of the Latin Bible. The Geneva Bible never used it barely used the Koine Greek versions of the Bible, the Codex Sinaiticus.
Right.
It did use the Septuagint, but it didn't really use the Codex Sinaiticus. It heavily depended on the Gutenberg Bible. So no. And the King James Bible, they scribal comments made it as part of the Bible. They inserted that into the Bible, and then he changed everywhere where it said the word for that means congregation. He changed that to mean the church. So everywhere the King James says church, it should say congregation, not church. And that was a political point that King James was trying to make.
So it's political.
Yeah, the King James Bible has a lot of political emphasis on it to firmly establish King James as the head of the Anglican Church so that he didn't have to listen to the Pope.
Well, I don't agree with Catholicism.
Yeah, so that's why King James, he was pushing away from Catholicism and wanted to rule his country without the Pope's influence. And so that's why he established the Anglican Church and established himself as the ruler of the Anglican Church. So that's why it says church instead of congregation, because he didn't want the people to have the power of the Bible, so to speak. He wanted to have that power amongst himself.
So how do you feel about the ASB?
The who?
ASB? Like the American word?
I can barely hear you.
The American Standard Bible.
Oh, I think
I've been
it's trash.
told to,
It's trash. It was translated from the King James.
yeah.
So any Bible that was translated from the King James, I don't even pay attention to. So that'd be your NIVs, your American Standards, all of those. The best translation that is actually translated from the Septuagint, the Codex Sinaiticus, and the Leningrad is your New Revised Standard Updated Edition. That is going to give you the most accurate translation you can possibly have. And of course, you know, we don't know what was written before 500 for the most part. We got scraps, but we don't have any full books before that time frame. Like one of the oldest things we have is like P52. But P52 is a scrap that's about the size of a credit card, got about 30 words on it, and it dates back to the 2nd century. So,
Is there a way to, like, messaging those versions?
say that one more time.
Is there any way that you can message me those versions that you're talking about? I would write it down, but
Yeah. So if you go to my profile, you can send me. You should be able to send me a message, and then I'll respond to it. I can't do it right now, so I'll respond to it in a message. So you message me, and I'll send it to you.
well, it was good talking to you.
Okay.
I think you have more faith than you know.
I do not. I think I do critical thinking based on the information that we have. And if some new information came up or came out, then the difference between me and people of faith is that I am willing to change my thinking on something based on the new information. But until such time, no, it is what it is. And we have yet to have any evidence of Jesus and any evidence of any person in the Bible before Hezekiah. Like, there's no Abraham information, there's no Noah information, no Moses information, there's nothing. Hezekiah is like one of the first people. Well, let me change that. I'm sorry. There's a little bit of information that might mean that David existed, but not as a king of Israel, but as a chieftain or just a house. We don't know exactly what it means, but there were, during the time frame of Jehoram, there was Jehoram was claiming to be from the house of David. So that's the closest thing we got to prove David. But we don't have anything directly that proves David or Solomon. So you don't
have 100% proof. You're not.
Yeah, but we don't have none. We have zero. That's the problem. Other than stories.
I don't. Nothing.
And if we took stories, if you were willing to accept stories, then we could accept the story of Achilles, and because we know the city of Troy existed, you should accept the story of Achilles, and you should accept anybody's stories.
Are you talking about that movie?
No, well, the movie, of course, takes some liberties, but
Brad Pitt.
no, I'm talking according to Homer's Iliad. Achilles fought in the Trojan War, right? So that's according to the Iliad. If you an archaeologist studied the Iliad, and in studying the Iliad, he was able to find the city of Troy, right? So we know the city of Troy existed, and we can see that the walls, that there were these great walls when we found it. And we can see that the walls have been, there were many wars that were fought against them. And we see that some of those wars were from who would become the Greek nations. So the Trojan War that's described in the Iliad most likely happened. But was Achilles, who was a demigod, was Achilles there? Achilles could have been there. Was he a demigod? That part, there's no proof that he was a demigod. But if I had faith, I would then say that Achilles was a demigod.
What's a demigod?
Oh, someone who was born from a human and a god, like Jesus.
Whoa.
Was Jesus not born from a woman?
Jesus Christ is the word.
Was he born of a woman?
In John 1:1, John 1:1.
But was Jesus born from a woman?
Yeah.
That's the definition. That's the definition of a demigod, born from both a human and a god.
That's not a demigod.
That's what Hercules was. That's what Achilles was. A demigod is someone who's born from a woman, a human, and a god.
That's what people make up. Yeah.
That's why people what?
That's what people make up. Like they make their own words.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, the word demigod was the idea of a demigod was around centuries before Jesus. Matter of fact, it was around millennium before Jesus. Gilgamesh was a demigod because he was born from a god and a human. So we have many of the stories almost every ancient culture has some type of god that comes and have sex with a human and produce a child, and that child become a great leader or a great warrior or somebody who starts some huge movement or change in the culture. Every culture in ancient times have that kind of a story. And that type of story was still a very popular story during the time frame of Jesus. Hell, at the same time of Jesus, there was the story of Apollonius of Tyana, who his mother had sex with a sea god and produced Apollonius. Apollonius then becomes an itinerant preacher in Turkey, in Judea, in Egypt. He went to India and he was teaching people that stop sacrificing animals because God doesn't need your sacrifices. You just got to learn to love God. You got to learn to understand God and be a good person. And Apollonius went on trial against the Romans, and he disappeared for a while, and then he reappeared to some of his followers. He healed a girl who was dead and brought her back to life. He healed a blind person. Apollonius did a lot of the same things Jesus did, and he was in the early 1st century. He was supposedly born around 15 AD and died around, I think, like around 60 or 70 AD.
So that's good history, huh?
That's what?
Good history.
Yeah, that people believe that, yes. And yeah, people believe that during that time frame. You even have a Roman empress who a couple of hundred years commissions a biography to be written about him. And then you have Christian scribes used to copy that writing of Apollonius of Tyana to practice their scribal writing. And then you have heresies written by some of the early Christian fathers against it. Huh?
What's a heresy?
Oh, heresies is anytime that you're against a particular religion. If you write or talk against a religion, then you're considered a heretic. So, like, if you were to talk against Islam, then you are a Muslim heretic. So, not believing or following another religion and talking against it makes you a heretic.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that use those words like heresy and blasphemy, and they have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah. Now, usually, most religions talk about heresies within the religion in our most recent times. So, like, if you got a Christian pastor, he's talking differently than other Christian pastors. They'll say that Christian pastor is a heretic. He's preaching heresies. But in first century development of Christianity, because they were trying to defend against other religions that were also just as popular, they would write treaties against them. They would write books, they would write scrolls against those religions to say that, no, you shouldn't follow that religion. You should need to follow our religion, especially when they were in competitive areas. So since the writings of Apollonius of Tyana was amongst the people of Israel and North Africa and Europe, the Christian writers felt they had the right against him, just like they felt they had the right against Valentine. They had the right against Marcion, because they were basically debating their religion. What's his name? Justin Martyr does a whole big writing against a Jewish Messiah type, and did a whole little book against that Jewish writer in 150, because he was trying to prove that that Christianity was the way.
Okay, so going back, can you prove to me that God is not real? That Jesus Christ is not real?
I can't prove. No one can prove God exists nor doesn't exist. There's not enough evidence for either one. But what we can show is that Jesus didn't exist. That he's a creative, he's a literary character.
You have faith.
Yeah, what?
You have faith.
I don't have faith, because when I look at the writings of first century historians like Philo of Alexander, wrote about damn near everything that happened in Judea in the first century, but he never wrote about Jesus. He didn't write about John the Baptist. He wrote about Herod, but he never wrote about Herod killing a whole bunch of infants. And
why did he do that?
Because he was a Hellenistic Jew, and he wanted, and he didn't.
Trying to do what?
He was trying to record. He was recording the Jewish histories and what was going on in Judea at that time frame. I mean, now he was writing about what happened with Jews in the Roman Empire all throughout the first century, but he was also a historian because he wrote about things that happened prior to the first century as well. But he was a contemporary of when Jesus would have been walking around performing miracles and doing all these things, he would have wrote about it. Seneca, who was also a historian, and he wrote a lot about what was happening in Judea, he never wrote about the earth, and he wrote about a bunch of natural disasters that happened in Judea. But he never wrote about an earthquake at the time frame that supposedly during the time frame of Jesus' resurrection. An earthquake never happened during that time frame, according to Seneca. So he wrote about every other natural disaster except for that earthquake. He wrote about every other natural disaster except for the sky being darkened. He didn't write about that either. And Seneca was in the first century, but he didn't write about it. If Pontius Pilate, we have evidence that Pilate was around in the first century. Pilate, as a governor of Judea, if an earthquake was strong enough to shake rocks and move a big old boulder, and they had a whole night sky during the daytime, Pilate would have had to report that to the Roman authorities. And one, because he just has to report it. But then two, an earthquake of that size would have caused infrastructure damage, and he would have been requesting money. But he never does.
Who did Pontius have to report it to?
He would have reported up the chain of the Roman government, just like
what was the guy's name? I can't remember.
what's what name?
Like, what was the guy's name above him?
Well, the Roman Senate would have been above him, but you're mainly looking at reporting it to the emperor. So I'm assuming you're an American. So if you were the governor of your state and you say you was the governor of Louisiana and Hurricane Katrina comes through there and we didn't have our news sources like we have today, in order to get federal funds, you would have to report that to the president, right?
I would have to report that to the president.
Yeah. So in order for the president to know that federal money needs to be sent down to Louisiana for Katrina, you got to report it to the federal government. So if an earthquake had happened the size that Matthew dictates that it happened, and the night darkness would have happened, being a governor of Judea, which is an appointment by the emperor, he would have to report that to Emperor Tiberius, I think was the emperor at the time. I think he would have, no, Emperor Augustus, sorry. That would have been during the reign of Emperor Augustus. He would have to report that up to the emperor. I think it was Augustus. I'm not exactly sure which emperor it was. Yeah, during the reign of Emperor Augustus. Yeah, it was Augustus. I think it would have been Augustus. No, it wouldn't have been Augustus. It wouldn't have been Augustus. It would have been a different emperor. But he would have reported up to the Roman emperor.
You have faith.
Ma'am?
I can feel it. I can feel it from you.
Ma'am, I have no faith in your God. I actually find it insulting that you would just automatically decide what you think I have. I have no faith in your God. I don't do faith. I'm either confident in something or it's an unknown to me. But I do not have faith in your God. And if a God did prove himself, if somehow some God was able to prove that it was God, there's absolutely no way it would be the God of the Bible.
So how can you wear that necklace on your neck?
Because it's just jewelry to me.
That's it.
Just like the hat with the steer on it. I'm not from Texas. I'm from Atlanta. And just
I was thinking about that the whole time.
I'm not from Texas. Many people think I'm from Texas because I wear this hat. But I'm not from Texas. I was wearing hats like this when I lived in Atlanta because I'm from Atlanta. It's just a style that I like. Just like the clothes you wear is a style that you like, right? And many of the clothing that you wear will have a logo of some sort or a name on it. Does that mean that you have any attachment to that name or that logo? Exactly. So it's just jewelry.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna wear it, at least be prepared to represent what it means.
No, I don't have to represent what it means. I just wear it. Do you represent the company of the car that you drive? Or do you
How
just?
do you know?
Or do you just?
How do you know?
I'm
I
asking.
don't drive a car.
That's why I asked. That's why that was a question. Do you represent the car that you drive?
No.
You
No,
just
sir.
right. You just drive the car because for one reason or another, that's the car you bought. It could be economic reasons as to why you bought the car. It could be safety reasons you bought the car. It could be a 11 different reasons why you bought that car. It could be a status reason. Like, I'm not an expensive car guy. I wouldn't buy an expensive car for the most part. But most people buy it for status. I buy a vehicle because I like the vehicle.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I understand. I do.
okay. That's the second time you asked me that one. I know, but a lot of people always think that because I wear this, the jewelry I wear has a meaning to it for me, but it doesn't. The meaning, and I've expressed it multiple times, it is just something I like. This is one of my favorite colors. Where the hell is the thing? It's just one of my favorite colors. That color blue. And I like the little hand. And if I flip it upside down, it'd be Jainism. Holding it down like this.
What?
Yeah. But
If you flip it upside down, it would be what?
oh, if I held it like this, so in Jainism, it's always up. In most other cultures, it's down. But in Jainism, the hand is up. Just like I don't know. But it's just like I met this guy once. He had the hat on with one of these, and I was like, oh, and this is when I was kind of more like you. And I was like, oh, so you practice Jainism? And he was like, nah, I just like the hat. And that's all it was. He just liked the hat.
Can you explain what Jainism is?
I mean, Jainism is a religion that branched off from, I believe it branched off from Hinduism. And it's just a very ascetic religion that believes that you shouldn't kill anything on the planet, that you should live a peaceful life, you should take care of people, be nice to people, learn about nature, and through your learning of nature and the cosmos, that you go into samadhi or nirvana. I don't know a whole lot about it. It's not one of the ones I studied a lot of, but I just know it's a very peaceful religion. Like they don't fight wars or get involved with wars. They're very non-confrontational. They're kind of like Hare Krishnas. So that's all they are. But you'd have to research more of that yourself. I don't know much about them.
Oh, no, I thought you were super interesting. Thank you for having me up.
All right. Thank you for coming up, Holly.
I'll message you.
All right. Just message me and I'll give you those. Remind me what I'm messaging you about, because I think it's about the different translations, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So send me a message. Thank you. Oh, okay. I know some people wanted to come on, but if you've been following my show long enough, you know that it is 5:36. That means my wife is already home. And I know she went to the grocery store. So that means that in the trunk of the car, there's a big ass crate of water that I got to carry into the house and a whole bunch of other stuff. And then we're going to the gym because I gotta tighten it up. What did I hear? What did I hear yesterday? What did my nephew say? He said, he wasn't talking about me. Oh, I gotta get these cinnamon rolls off my back. No, honey bun. He said she got honey bun. I heard something. He said it got honey bun back. He didn't. No, my nephew didn't say that. Someone else said that, but then he mentioned honey buns yesterday. But yeah, I can't have honey. I gotta get in the gym. Can't have honey bun back. But today, what's today? Wednesday, I think. What is today? Today is the 30th. Yeah, today's Wednesday, isn't it? Oh, don't say today is Thursday. Today is Thursday. Fuck. Y'all, I gotta tell you, being retired, you have. I'll be waking up, don't know what day it is. Yep, it's Thursday. Okay, so I normally don't do a show on Friday, but I know I skipped Tuesday and Wednesday. So I'm going to try to do a show tomorrow. My wife gets home at 3 on Fridays. That's why I don't normally do shows on Friday, because I like to start around 2. But that means I'm gonna have to start early. So I'm gonna try to do a show tomorrow. But if this paperwork that I'm waiting on comes through tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to do a show, because then I got to run around town. So if I get the paperwork, the email by tomorrow morning, I will not do a show, because I know I'm running around the city tomorrow morning. If it doesn't come through when I wake up in the morning at 8 o'clock, if it doesn't come through, then I'm gonna try to go live like by around noon tomorrow, since I skipped Tuesday and Wednesday because I was running around the city. But normally I don't do Fridays, but we'll see. So just turn your notifications on. And I want to thank everybody who was giving gifts, all the super chats from Facebook. I mean, YouTube. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. The stars on Facebook, and all the gifts on what is this thing? TikTok. Yes, Central Time. Thank you, Star. Central Time. Central. I'm in Texas. So noon Central. It's 1 o'clock Eastern. But thank everybody who supports the channel. I really greatly. You're gonna put a cowboy hat on top of my cowboy hat? I think that was Cherry who did that. Thank you. Appreciate that. And so I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow. Oh, let me see. Oh, my wife is asking. Hold on. Oh, she ain't even home yet. I'm telling. Oh, yes, she is. She's home. She sent me a message. Ooh, like 15 minutes ago. I'm in trouble. Nah, that stuff is just sitting in the car until I get there. So thank you guys, and I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. If not, I'll see you guys on Monday. If Jesus was real, every day of the week would be Jesus Day. No, Pope. Why they still using Roman gods and Norse gods? Yeah, she said she's home now. I was too late. Why are they still using the Norse gods and the Roman gods and the Babylonian Saturn for their days of the week and all the Roman gods' names for the months if they so Christian, right? Right? That don't make sense to me. They should, if I was Christian, if I was seriously still Christian, I would rename the days of the week. It'd be like Monday would be Mark's Day, and then John's Day, and Luke's Day, and Matthew's Day. Sunday would be Jesus Day. I would change Sunday to Jesus Day, and I change all the name of the days of the week, and I change all the months, and that'd be my platform to try to change the months, because we're not going to represent these. Oh, that's what I should have said to Holly. Why does she still call it? If today is Thursday, why would she call today Thor's Day? That means she's worshiping Thor, right? If she uses Thor's Day for Thursday. So anyway, I gotta go. Appreciate everybody who was waiting. Yeah, I only talk to one person at a time for anybody who's new to the channel. That's why I don't. You don't see a whole bunch of people on here, and that's why sometimes you got to wait. But I'll be back here tomorrow around noon, unless I get this paperwork. But if I get the paperwork early enough, I might be able to handle the stuff and be back here by noon. We'll see. But y'all have a great day, and always remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Thank you, Glenn. Good journey, good vibrations.